of Miracle Caroline. How you doing today?
Hi, neighbor. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening to you. How are you? How are you doing? How is the weather in Florida?
I'm doing good. It's quite nice, neighbor. Cool, but not cold.
Yeah. You know, today is a significant day in Jamaica's history, Caroline. The Jamaica Labour Party today is celebrating 10 years, an entire generation of leading Jamaica. What a fantastic achievement for the party.
I am fully aware, neighbor. Yes, definitely. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And you know, Caroline, so it's 12 minutes after 7, so I'm gonna have to start because not many people gave Andrew Holness a chance.
I know, neighbor.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I think of all prime ministers and political leaders, he was the most underrated. Because, in 2016, when Holness was challenging the charismatic Portia Simpson Miller, the polls never gave him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
The pundits never gave him a chance. As a matter of fact, listen to this. Listen to this, my dear Caroline. If I may just play this for you. Listen to this piece of tape to see how.
You know what I don't understand with some Jamaicans? They were calling for us to call the elections. And now that we call it, they are complaining. What is their problem? Is it because they can't win? The only thing I'm going to do now is just give them a good whipping the night of the elections.
That's the former Prime Minister, Portia Simpson Miller, suggesting that she was going to give Holness a whipping the night of the election. She said more, listen.
So you're not getting a whipping? As the Prime Minister says, she
let me tell you something. Let me say something. The Prime Minister can only whip her children.
Yes, no.
But Mr. Simpson Miller really don't have any kids, so I don't know. Anyway, Mama P said if she looked like a loser, and she lost. As a matter of fact, Holness has won elections against Simpson Miller, Peter Phillips, and now Golding. Holness has basically retired three PNP leaders and is emerging as Jamaica's champion in politics. What an amazing journey.
And he didn't just want 3 PNP leaders, he actually sent them into retirement.
Retirement indeed. One is left to go into retirement. That is Golding, and that I understand will happen soon. Anyway, it's great to have you, and trust that you will do what you can from behind the scenes to keep us going. Nice to have you, okay?
Great to be here, neighbor. Good evening, listeners. Welcome. Could you please tap and share, and remember to repost the live, please? I'm asking every single person on the platform to repost the live because, as you know, today is a very significant day.
Fantastic. Great. Absolutely. Thank you, Caroline. Later. So let me start by giving you a little bit of reflection and some memory on the 2020.
The following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour
2016 election that saw the Jamaica Labour Party dominance. Here is Pernell Charles.
Party.
My name is Pernell Charles Jr., the Deputy Spokesperson for National Security for the Jamaica Labour Party. I'm here to talk to you about crime. Now, we all know that crime and violence affects and has affected every single Jamaican. Our greatest asset is our people. We must elect a government that will protect our people and fight crime. The Jamaica Labour Party has always been focused on job creation. Let's do the math. More jobs, less crime. Let's make Jamaica safe. Join the Partnership for Prosperity. Vote JLP.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Straight from your heart, vote for a change. Let's go to a future of prosperity.
And then
All right.
you had this song.
Announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
JLP for Jamaica. Come on, yeah. I'm calling everyone who loves
This was the song 2016. Reviewing that, huh?
sweet Jamaica to stand and show our national pride. Out of many one people, still so much love, yet this government won't do what's right. Let's shine some light on this darkness.
In the labor rights of where they're coming from. 2016.
Make it right, come on and do your part. Vote for the best, vote for Jamaica Labour Party. Straight from your heart, vote for a change. Let's go to a future of prosperity with JLP. Here comes a leader with a new direction, yeah. With a new Jamaica, empowering Jamaicans. We will succeed if we work hand in hand with Holness, uniting this nation. Let us take back our country, move into prosperity, give children a better life. Come on and do your part. Vote for the best. Vote for Jamaica Labour Party. Straight from your heart. Vote for a change. Let's go to a future of prosperity with JLP. Jamaica, all the youth them 18 and over, middle age and all of the elders. Come on and vote for a conscious leader. And Holness, the next Prime Minister, representing the hope of Jamaica. So when the bell ring, come dip your finger. Let JLP brighten your future and rescue our country from leaders so greedy. JLP will bring the change. Come on and do your part. Vote for the best. Vote for Jamaican Labour Party. Straight from your heart. Vote for a change. Let's go to a few.
That was one, and then you know this one too. This one was a big.
Let us vote for better.
This one was a song, yeah.
In this election, let us
Remember this one?
party. Vote for Labour.
Well, this song did it, you know. Mm-hmm. This song rivals the PNP's Blood and Fire. Me and my neighbor. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Tell them vote for Labour.
All labor rights across Jamaica should be very proud today. 10 years. Just reminding you of some of the things that happened, huh?
In this election, tell your neighbor to vote for Labour. Why? We are the government going back to Parliament. Labour alone, we give our vote. Labour Party, we love the most. And them alone, again people. Tell them again, vote for Labour. Make we vote for Labour. Hands and vote for Labour. Brothers and sisters, vote for Labour. Make we vote for Labour.
That's right. Prime Minister ruling and the challenge of managing the implementation of the law we made a commitment that if we won the election, there would be no tuition. Remember that? And we kept the promise. We refunded the fees to the parents who had paid because it was important to build trust. We gave the schools over $1 billion, representing the other half of the fees that they would have gotten from tuition from parents.
This is a young Andrew Holness on the campaign trail 2016.
And we maintain that, increasing that figure every year. No schools were closed because we ended the tuition policy. You name me one school that was closed. And as a result of the no tuition policy, we increased access to secondary education by 10%. Because that we understood to be part of the prosperity dream. If your child finds it easier to go to school, you're on your way with the prosperity plan.
That's Andrew Holness in 2016, more than 10 years ago. Little more of that.
In 2013, the present Minister of Education declared that tuition fees are mandatory, effectively reversing the free tuition policy. The government that I lead and the government of which I was a part made it easier for you to send your children to school. This government is making it more difficult. That is a big difference between the PNP and the Jamaica Labour Party.
Now listen to Holness.
You will always have the critics who will tell you, what are the facts? What did you say? And so we want to answer them. We want to finish the argument once and for all.
Finish the argument once and for all, Holness. Finish it. Let us hear.
The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP. Is a better government. The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP. Finish the argument once and for all. The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP. We want to finish the argument once and for all. The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP.
Argument done. Argument done.
Another big difference between the PNP and the JLP is that we want everybody to be included. We don't use any disparaging term to put one set over there and one set over here. Everybody must be treated with respect. You can't claim that you want to run a country, that you want to preserve everybody's rights, that you want to see a country where everyone can feel that they can succeed. And then you look around and you say, some dirty, some are cardboard this and plyboard that, some are socialists and some are beauty queen. You never hear that out of my leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party. The Labour Party not only loves the people of this country, but we respect the people of this country. The PNP and the Jamaica Labour Party. Children to school. This government is making it more difficult. That is a big difference between the PNP and the Jamaica Labour Party. You will always have the critics who will tell you, what are the facts? What did you say? And so we want to answer them. We want to finish the argument, did you say? And so we want to answer them. We want to finish the argument once and for all. The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP. Did you say? And so we want to answer them. We want to finish the argument once and for all. The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP. Another big difference between
The following is a paid announcement by the
PNP and the
JLP.
JLP is that we want everybody to be included. We don't use any disparaging term to put one set over there and one set over here. Everybody must be treated as being of the past. You can't claim that you want to run a country.
Marching on to victory. Future of Labour Party marching on to victory. Labour Party marching on. All right, marching on to victory. Labour Party marching. Labour Party marching.
All right. So those were some of the clippings that came out of the 2016 campaign. Also remember this ad.
Remove income tax from the salaries of...
This was a major plank of the Jamaica Labour Party's 2016 election.
...of February is paid in. And we think you should get a break. The Jamaica Labour Party will remove income tax from the salaries of approximately 118,000 workers.
I'm suggesting that you are pathologically mendacious.
This includes most teachers, nurses, security forces, and many public and private sector workers.
Tonight.
All right, so that was that, and let's go to this.
The following is a paid announcement by the JLP.
Jamaica need a change now.
My party and my administration is not one of promises.
Not later than the year 2005, cost sharing in secondary schools will be a thing of the past.
Is it that time of the month?
You talk too much, you worry me to death.
You make me win first and then start cuss. You make me win and we can't quarrel amongst ourselves because we know PNP people go.
We have said and done things which shouldn't take place in a united PNP party.
Talk too much. Just coming back.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the JLP.
This government is making it more difficult. That is a big difference between the PNP and the Jamaica Labour Party. You will always have the critics who will tell you, what are the facts? What did you say? And so we want to answer them. We want to finish the argument once and for all. The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP.
Contribution, leave me out and never love again. Hey, hey, baby. Hey, hey, girl, yeah. We're together in this world. Sound the trumpet.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to step up the front? If it is a mountain, we have climbed it. If it is a river, we have crossed it. If it is a test, we have passed it. If it is a race, we have won it. And now that I am calling it, we will win it. I've written to the Governor General and advised him to proclaim Friday the 5th day of February 2016 as the day to dissolve the current parliament. I have also advised the Governor General that nomination day for candidates offering themselves for the parliamentary elections will be Tuesday, the 9th day of February 2016.
Undecided voters, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. Time to start your engine.
They have been calling for elections for a long time now. Them get it now, and them go get a whipping at the polls, at the polls, at the polls. General elections will be held on the 25th day of February 2016.
Here we go, fly the gate, fly the gate, fly the gate, and let's in the fire, fly the gate. Here we go, fly the gate.
who loves sweet Jamaica, to stand and show our national pride. Out of many, one people, still so much love, yet this government won't do what's right. Let's shine some light on this darkness. Our nation is God blessed. Together we'll make it right. Come on and do your part. Vote for the best. Vote for Jamaica Labour Party. Straight from your heart. Vote for a change. Let's go to a future of prosperity with JLP. Here comes a leader with a new direction, yeah, with a new Jamaica.
All right. So those were some of the, quite a media blitz for the 2016 election of Andrew Holness. Of course, you know the election results there, that he won the election. So let's talk to you a little bit about that. Now, on the notes, history has a way of testing its protagonists before it crowns them. 10 years ago, few would have wagered that the young, measured, almost understated figure of Andrew Holness would preside over a decade of unbroken leadership in Jamaica. Very few imagined that he would outlast rivals, outmaneuver critics, and outgrow all the things that were imposed upon him. And yet here we are, 10 consecutive years in office under the banner of the Jamaica Labour Party. A political milestone that demands not merely commentary, but contemplation. Andrew Holness is a remarkable man. For this is not simply a story of elections won. It is a story of formation, of fire refining steel. Holness' political odyssey cannot be understood without revisiting 2011. 2011. Now, here is what happened in 2011.
Will be the 29th of December.
Michael Holness in Mandeville called the election in this fashion.
Will be the 29th of December.
This was the date Jamaica was waiting for. It was the date Jamaica Labour Party leader Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave on December 4 at a mass rally in Mandeville, Manchester, and the large crowd lapped it up. An avalanche of green and an air of anticipation marked the day's events, which saw large crowds gathering from early in the day. The rally, which was set in the constituency of Manchester Central, a seat earmarked as a battleground between the PNP's Peter Bunting and the JLP's Danville Walker, was not without its incidents. Among the joyous atmosphere were frequent fainting spells, which saw people.
All right. Now, that was Holness calling the elections in Mandeville in 2011. Then, as a young prime minister, he stood before the nation promising what he called bitter medicine. It was an appeal of realism over romance. Portia was romancing the country, promising IMF deals in 2 weeks. Discipline over indulgence. The electorate, wearied and skeptical, chose otherwise. The People's National Party, led by the formidable Portia Simpson Miller, returned to power. My neighbors, defeat can deform a leader, or defeat can define him. Some people have noted that character is revealed not in victory, but in loss. In losing, Holness was confronted with a question that echoes through the ages. What he called, or was he called to endure, or was he destined to retreat? Many believe retreat was inevitable. Within the Jamaica Labour Party itself, dissent stirred. A leadership challenge emerged from within his ranks. Confidence voters were crucibles. They stripped away illusion. He survived. A confidence vote against him at party headquarters. 7 of the MP then voted against him. Yet survival did not silence the skeptics. Pollsters doubted him. Pundits dismissed him. He was described as untested, too technocratic, insufficiently charismatic for the theater of Jamaican politics. Portia called him her son, and still he persisted. Shaw challenged him and lost. 2016 election remains one of the most riveting political contests in modern Caribbean history. The 2016 elections were riveting. The polls favored continuity. The commentators predicted that the Simpson-Miller political machinery would triumph. But politics, like Providence, often turns in the quiet spaces of often unseen by the experts. Holness presented a 10-point plan, disciplined and data-driven, with a signature promise of 1.5, promising to put money back in the pockets of working Jamaicans. It was not a flamboyant presentation, but it was focused. Election night delivered a razor-thin margin. Let's do I have that? Yes. Election night. Holness wins election. Do I have that one? No.
Listeners, can you please repost the live, please? Press that white arrow, then that yellow circle, and repost the live, please.
Thank you for that, moderator. Well, he won the 2016 general election. Define the polls, define the pundits, and political gravity. No one gave him a chance. I don't even know if some in the party gave him a chance. Holness did more than win office, you know. He altered the psychology map of Jamaican politics. Simpson-Miller's era effectively closed. A generational shift crystallized. Like David before Goliath, he had not relied on spectacle. He relied on preparation. But from the onset of his tenure, scrutiny followed him like a shadow. In fact, one could argue that no Jamaican Prime Minister has governed under more relentless examination in the digital age. Social media amplified every misstep. Talk radio dissected every phrase. Critics vilified him. Detractors maligned him. Sustained campaigns sought to diminish him. And yet, it did not fracture. And you know, Holness seems to have internalized that lesson. His composure became both a shield and a strategy. He really met insult with a response. He really responded to outrage with outrage. In a region often animated by fiery rhetoric, his restraint became distinctive. Restraint, however, is not passive. Under his stewardship, the Jamaican economy underwent deliberate restructuring. Debt reduction became not a slogan, but sustained policy objective. International observers noted the discipline. Poverty reduced over time. Crime, long and stubborn national wound, saw periods of measurable decline amid intensified security strategies. Housing initiatives expanded. Infrastructure projects multiplied. Critics debated methods. Supporters celebrated results. But few could deny movement. If 2016 was improbable, 2020 was empathetic. Facing the technocratic calm of Peter Phillips, Holness secured a decisive mandate. The electorate did not merely tolerate his leadership, they reaffirmed it. In democratic systems, renewal is the ultimate endorsement. The following contest in 2025 against Mark Golding further solidified his dominance over successive leaders of the PNP. 3 opposition leaders, 3 victories. Political longevity is rarely accidental. Miller, Phillips, and now Golding. What explains this? Part of the answer lies in growth. Young Prime Minister Holness in 2011 and Holness now is a stark difference. He's a seasoned statesman. Not the same figure that you saw there in Mandeville talking about bitter medicine. Experience has deepened him. Crises has clarified him. COVID-19 was not merely a public health emergency. It was an existential test of governance worldwide. Many nations faltered. Economies stalled. Fear proliferated. In that storm, the Prime Minister adopted a posture that blended technocratic rigor with pastoral reassurance. Press conferences became rituals of national orientation. Data was presented soberly. Measures were debated intensely. Mistakes were acknowledged. Adjustments were made. No leader escaped criticisms during the pandemic, but Jamaica navigated the global turbulence without systemic collapse. Tourism, the lifeblood of the economy, rebounded with strategic management. International partnerships expanded. Because leadership during crisis is a mirror. It reveals both capacity as well as character. And so when Holness was invited to participate in the G20 summit as a guest, it was more than ceremonial. It wasn't only ceremonial diplomacy. It signaled recognition that Jamaica's voice carried weight beyond our shores. Small states, when well led, can command disproportionate influence. Global stature is not merely about invitations. It's about perception. And Holness increasingly occupies forums once dominated by larger economies, articulating Caribbean concerns, climate vulnerability, debt injustice. In the theater of geopolitics, presence matters. And in the geopolitical theater, Holness is a significant actor. Supporters argue that his decade in power has been the most transformative in modern Jamaica's history. They point to macroeconomic stability. We'll talk to Harry about that later on. Housing expansion, infrastructure upgrades, digital modernization, and social mobility programs. They cite reduced debt to GDP, evidence of fiscal stewardship. They note poverty reduction trends, improved investor confidence. Critics counter with unresolved inequalities, persistent crime concerns, and debates over civil liberties, insecurity measures. Those are debates we are still having. But legacies are without written headlines. They are etched in trajectories. No one can argue that the last 10 years in Jamaica have been significantly better than the previous times. I want you to note that Holness inherited a nation burdened by debt and constrained by limited fiscal space. He has prioritized discipline. He embraced incrementalism over populism. He often chose policy over poetry. And yet, there is poetry in perseverance. All right? His journey, though distinct, echoes a universal pattern: formation through adversity. The leadership challenge within his own party could have fragmented him. Instead, it steeled him. The electoral defeat in 2011 could have sidelined him. Instead, it schooled him. The skepticism of 2016 could have intimidated him. Not many would want to run against the charismatic Simpson Miller, but it propelled him. 10 unbroken years now as a testament not merely to political machinery, but to sustain public trust. Why was he so doubted then? We'll get back to that after this break. Six minutes to 8 o'clock. We're getting back to it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, my colleagues on the platform, Most Honorable Edward Seagan, Mr. Seagan, our Prime Minister, and his wife who have not yet arrived, members of the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen, labor rights, shower, Labour Party support coming down now. Bank to bank, all across Jamaica. I am very happy to be with you here today. And I can tell it's a wonderful day for me because my wife is here with me and my 3 lovely daughters are here with me as well. I feel
part of the memory of the Jamaica Labour Party is this man on the shore. He challenged Holness, but his contribution to the Labour Party should never be underestimated. On the shore. Say more about that later.
We are at midterm, but I already feel that victory is in the air for the Jamaica Labour Party. It's time for a second term. Why you say so hardly? Because we have restored the economy and we have put it on a firm path of growth and job creation.
7 hours.
Our workers now have a better deal. As everyone earning less than $1.5 million a year don't pay no income taxes now under the Jamaica Labour Party. When you look around the place, everywhere you go, some building a go up, something a go on. You ever see so much construction take place in a Jamaica in your life? You ever see so much road construction take place in the corporate area, in the rural area, farm road a bill, parish council road a bill, highway a bill, Southeast Coast Highway from Moran Bay to Port Antonio soon start, East-West Highway from Maypen to Williamsfield soon start. What a bam bam under Jamaica Labour Party. Manufacturing is up. Agriculture is growing. The alumina plant at Alpart is up $1 billion spent already. 1,000 people working. Another alumina plant coming down there. Then an energy plant, 1,000 megawatts. Then after that, an aluminum smelter. Then after that, an industrial park. And then an agro-industrial park. $6 billion of investment. Thousands of people to work. Shower the labor right them, man. Then an energy plant, 1,000 megawatts. Then after that, an aluminum smelter. Then after that, an industrial park. And then an agro-industrial park. $6 billion of investment. Thousands of people to work. Shower the labor right them, man.
No more heartache, no more pain.
The labor right them, man. Thousands of people to work.
No more
the labor right them, man. $6 billion of investment. Thousands of people to work. Shower the labor right them, man. thousands of people to work. Shower the labor right them, man. I've invested thousands of people to work. Shower the labor right them, man.
Moderator. Hello, Caroline. Are you
Yes,
there?
neighbor. Yes, neighbor.
You know, moderator. I tell you, when I listen to Mr. Shaw there, so just now, a tear came into my eye. You know why? You know, I'm a kind of an emotional guy. You know, I don't know why. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Shower the labor right them, man. $6 billion of investment, thousands of people to work. Shower the labor right them, man.
You know, what he was talking there about is the party's initiatives to get people back to work. 300,000 Jamaicans have gotten work under this Labour Party, you know, Caroline. More than 300,000 Jamaicans, you know.
Yes, neighbor.
You know, people sometimes go around Jamaica and talk, but they don't understand how this government has really helped them, you know, man. I'm telling you the truth. This is fantastic. Anyway, let me just wrap this up, and because we have a loaded night, here. Why was Holness so doubted? Perhaps because he did not fit the archetype of Caribbean political flamboyance. He spoke the language of policy frameworks and fiscal ratios rather than fiery rhetoric. He emphasized systems rather than spectacle. Yet over time, consistency became charisma. A man came here the other night and I was telling him that charisma is about leadership. Because in leadership theory, credibility is built at the intersection of competence and character. Holness has cultivated both competence and character. There is no other prime minister with the character of Holness. Portia, she had her problems. Bruce, you know his weakness. PJ, the less said about him, the better. And before him, you know what? Tell me one scandal that has rocked the Holness government. Anything remotely resembling what took place under previous prime ministers. And what personal scandal has Holness been involved in? Holness has cultivated not only competence, but he has cultivated character. And he has learned to communicate expansively. He has adapted to the emotional, the emotional side of the electorate, and growth in him became visible. This prime minister has grown up before our very eyes. He was not the same man in 2011, nor 2016. But what we are seeing now is an amazing statesman. He has been caricatured, scrutinized, criticized, questioned intensely. But perhaps scrutiny itself is a measure of relevance. It is because the prime minister is so relevant why he is so scrutinized. Insignificant leaders are ignored. Significant ones are contested. Cartoonists have sought to bring him down. Media conglomerates have tried their best. He has been questioned intensely. Journalist George Davis has spoken to institutions seeking to interfere in the last election. My understanding is that not millions, billions were spent trying to get him out of power. But perhaps scrutiny itself is a measure of his relevance. And he's a towering figure in the Jamaica political landscape, even at this time. Insignificant leaders are ignored. Significant ones are contested. Holness appears to understand that longevity requires emotional equilibrium. He rarely allows the temperature of critics to determine his own. What a fantastic character from a man. As speculation grows about a potential fourth term, the question is not merely electoral arithmetic. It is historical positioning. Because if he secures another mandate, he will enter a rare field category of sustained democratic leadership in the Caribbean. The narrative would shift from resilience to dynasty, though within democratic bounds. Yet even without peering into the future ballots, 10 consecutive years already reshaped Jamaica's political landscape because they reflect stability in a region often marked by volatility. At its highest aspiration, neighbor rights. Politics is not power. It is service. Scripture reminds us that to whom much is given, much is required. The weight of office is heavy, not because of prestige, but because of responsibility. And responsibility is not a detachable burden that you shift to the shoulders of others, fate or fortune. In the time of the astrologers, they unload responsibility on a star. That's why the cash pot and the lotto line so long. Because everybody wants to win. Nobody wants to work. Responsibility is not a detachable burden that you shift to the shoulders of others. Mr. Holness often speaks of stewardship. Stewardship implies temporality, holding something in trust, not ownership. Nations outlive leaders. Policies outlast administrations. If his decade signifies anything, it is the possibility that disciplined governance, incremental reform, and personal composure can coexist with electoral success. From opposition benches to 10 years of continuous premiership, the arc of Holness is neither accidental nor inevitable. It is constructed, choice by choice, crisis by crisis, contest by contest. If he won a first term, he won a second. If he won a second, he won a third. If he won a third, you can continue the refrain. He defeated Simpson Miller when few expected it. He withstood internal party challenges. He outpaced Phillips. He overcame Golding. He navigated a pandemic. He projected Jamaica into the global stage. Growth has been the through line. And perhaps that is the ultimate lesson for leaders and citizens alike. Growth is possible. In your own personal life, I want you to walk away with that. Growth is possible because defeat is not destiny. Defeat is not destiny. Doubt is not disqualification. Scrutiny is not surrender. On this very program, we have been doubted, disqualified, but we're not defeated. We lost our page. We did not lose our age. We lost the moment. We did not lose our moderator. We may have lost a certain niche. We did not lose the neighbor. We're still here. And history will judge fully in time. So as the Jamaica Labour Party makes this a significant achievement, as they mark 10 unbroken years under his leadership, we are invited to reflect not merely on partisan triumph, but on democratic continuity, on the maturation of a leader once underestimated, one of the power of resilience in public life. Is that history will judge fully in time. But for now, this chapter stands as a study in endurance. A young prime minister once promising bitter medicine, a defeated leader learning patience, a challenger surviving scrutiny, a victor defying polls, a statesman navigating pandemic and policy, a Caribbean voice at global tables. 10 years in politics, oh, that's an eternity. In history, it is the beginning. And so we chronicle. As we chronicle, not in flattery, but in recognition that the journey from doubt to durability is among the most compelling narrative in the modern Jamaican governance. This has been a reflection worthy of the moment, a meditation of resilience, a testament to growth. And as the decade closes and another horizon opens, one truth endures. Leadership at its finest is not the absence of opposition, but the mastery of self amid it. And what the critics are failing to recognize is that the more they criticize this man, the larger he becomes. The more them try to tear him down, the taller he becomes. For the politics of Jamaica is still very fragile, you know. But we are a witness. We are witnesses to it. And what a witness we are. Thank God for the Politics Plus podcast. We try our best. I want you to support our program, if you can, by going to our Zelle account or Cash App and place something on the table for us. We're coming right back.
Has survived yet another internal attack to oust him as leader of the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP. On Monday, Mr. Holness easily won a secret ballot which decided his fate as JLP leader. 20 of the JLP's 21 members of parliament gathered at the party's Belmont Road headquarters in Kingston to cast their ballots, except Deputy Leader J.C. Hutchinson. Mr. Hutchinson was absent due to ill health. However, he sent his ballot in a letter. CNews understands that at least 2/3 of the caucus voted for Holness. 13 of the MPs supported him remaining as their leader, while 7 opposed. It's reported that these 7 who opposed include those who had supported Audley Shaw over Mr. Holness for leader in the November 2013 contentious leadership battle. Our sources say James Robertson, Audley Shaw, Marissa Dalrymple Filbert, Delroy Chuck, Gregory Mayer, and Darrell Vaz all voted against Holness remaining as party leader. Veteran JLP member and MP for Northwest St. Andrew Derek Smith chaired Monday's meeting. He explains that members were not pleased with Holness's handling of the Senate saga. Mr. Holness booted Christopher Tufton and Arthur Williams from the Senate in 2013. However, both the Constitutional Court and the Appellate Court agreed that Mr. Holness's actions were unconstitutional. And
all right, so that's let's take you now to Mr. Holness swearing in.
Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness will now present his inaugural address. It is important because this is an opportunity for the Prime Minister to share with the country his vision.
Your Excellencies,
what is it that we'll expect of him as a leader? What is it
Sir
that he promises to
Patrick
provide
Allen
for
and
us to make
Lady Allen,
a better Jamaica?
the Most Honorable Portia Simpson Miller, former Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Juliet Holness, former Governor Generals and their spouses, former Prime Ministers and their spouses, and wives of late former Prime Ministers, Chief Justice and
I want you to note the names of the report that voted against him. Those that voted against him when they had a no confidence vote in the party. And you heard the names of the people who voted against it. I'm going to play it back.
Chancellor of the Order of the
This is Holness' inaugural speech in 2016.
Nation, President of the Court of Appeal, heads of foreign governments or their representatives, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps and other international organizations and agencies, Cabinet Secretary, leaders in the public and private sectors, members of the clergy, distinguished guests, my fellow Jamaicans here at King's House, at home, and in the diaspora, a very good afternoon to you. I recognize that I stand here today by the grace of God. It has not been an easy journey to this podium, but earnest labor and fervent prayers conquer all.
Not to mention within his own party. It has not been an easy journey at all. No other leader in the Caribbean has had to undergo what Holness has gone through. His journey has been remarkable. Remarkable. Congratulations, sir.
To God be the glory. And thanks to you, the people of Jamaica. It is with a deep sense of gratefulness, honor, and humility that I took the oath of office moments ago, fully conscious of the magnitude of expectations and responsibilities I have assumed, but equally energized and optimistic about a prosperous future for Jamaica. I pledge to serve the people of Jamaica faithfully, with all my energies, all my heart, mind, and soul. I stand here today happy to represent the voice, vision, vote, and victory of Jamaica. We may have different voices and different votes on similar visions. Regardless of our differences, Jamaica was victorious at the general elections. It is not perfect, but we can all be proud of the people systems and institutions that make up our democracy. On the day of elections, I witnessed a young man cradled in his arm, an obviously bedridden elderly man, carrying him from a polling station. I was touched by the sight. In the bustle of the busy schoolyard, as they passed, the elderly man pointed his ink-stained finger at me and said, "Andrew, do the right thing." So I stand here humbled by the awesome power of you, the people, and I commit to do the right thing.
Well, that's 10 years ago. A man, old man, pointed his finger at him in 2016 and said, "Do the right thing." And 10 years ago, Holness promised to do the right thing. I tell you, the right thing he's doing for Jamaica.
The people are sovereign, and their views and votes must never be taken for granted. The people did not vote in vain. They expect a government that works for them, and by the same expectation, an opposition that is constructive. This historic election delivered the smallest majority, but also the clearest mandate: fix government.
Small majority was delivered to him in 2016. Small majority, clear mandate, fix government. And in fixing government, you fix the people. And that is what Holness has set out to do. I'm taking you back to 2016. You know, that's what he said in 2016, that he got a mandate to fix government. Let's listen a little bit more of him. By the way, stand by, Scratchy.
With this mandate, there is no majority for arrogance. There is no space for selfishness. There is no place for pettiness. There is no room for complacency. And there is no margin for error.
No margin for error. Holness accepted the mandate then and is living that now. Yeah? No mandate for error.
I am under no illusions as to the meaning of this mandate. We have not won a prize. Instead, the people are giving us a test. There is no absolute agency of power. This means that the winner cannot take all or believe we can do it alone. To achieve the vision of shared prosperity through inclusive economic growth and meaningful job creation, now more than ever, government must lead, activate, empower, and build real partnerships. I intend to lead a government of partnership. The solutions to our problems do not rest with government alone. The sum total of our potential exceeds our problems. Our collective capabilities are greater than our challenges. But it is only through partnership that these capabilities and potential can be seized, harnessed, and realized for the good of Jamaica. Partnership requires trust, clear assignment of responsibility, and an elevated sense of duty. There is only so much trust that pledges and statements of commitment can buy. I understand that the Jamaican people now want to see action in building trust. This is part of fixing government. Everyone who will form the next government must be seized of this expectation. From the politician making policy to the civil servant processing and application, we must act dutifully to fulfill our responsibilities. Trust requires the actualization of our commitments. We will fulfill our commitments. Our actions can achieve so much more if they are coordinated. We will bring greater coordination, rationality, and focus to the role of government so that the objectives of partnership can be clear. There is no doubt that significant numbers of Jamaicans have lost hope in our system, but I am encouraged that a far larger number maintain faith, keep hope, and continue to pray that Jamaica will grow and prosper. I am energized by the expressions of willingness to work with our new government in the interest of Jamaica. The sense of duty is alive and well. There is more hope than despair in
progress will make our nation strong. Stand up for your rights when you hear the bell. Stand up for justice, hear the freedom bell. Remember us the man we serve you well. Stand up, Jamaicans, when you hear the bell.
As a young Minister of Education, former Prime Minister Bruce Golding handed me the challenge of managing the implementation of the no tuition fee policy. We made a commitment that if we won the elections, there would be no tuition fees. You remember that? And we kept the promise. We refunded the fees to the parents who had paid because it was important to build trust. We gave the schools over $1 billion, representing the other half of the fees that they would have gotten from tuition from parents. And we maintained that, increasing that figure every year. No schools were closed because we ended the tuition policy. You name me one school that was closed. And as a result of the no tuition policy, we increased access to secondary education by 10%. Because that we understood to be part of the prosperity dream. If your child finds it easier to go to school, you're on your way with the prosperity plan. In 2013, the present Minister of Education declared that tuition fees are mandatory, effectively reversing the free tuition policy. The government that I lead and the government of which I was a part made it easier for you to send your children to school. This government is making it more difficult. That is a big difference between the PNP and the Jamaica Labour Party. You will always have the critics who will tell you, what are the facts? What did you say? And so we want to answer them. We want to finish the argument once and for all. The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP.
Good night to you, Scratchy. How you doing?
Good night, neighbor. Good night, Caroline, viewers and everyone. That's nice.
Are you doing all right, sir?
Yes, sir, man. I'm okay.
All right. Let's go to Scratchy. We have another 27 minutes here. Scratchy, the Jamaica Labour Party today is celebrating 10 years in office, 10 unbroken years in office, having won the election in 2016. What does that mean for you as a Rockstone Labourite?
Well, for me, neighbor, as a Rockstone Labourite, you know, based on my age, neighbor, it is a first time for this in this neighbor. I have never had the opportunity, neighbor, nor the privilege to see the Jamaica Labour Party rule for 10 consecutive years, neighbor. And it's an honor, neighbor, to be alive at this time, neighbor. And it is also a privilege, you know, to know that I am alive and well to see the Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, And what I would also consider, neighbor, as probably the golden years, the golden 10 years, neighbor, of Jamaica, where we know where Jamaica was coming from to where we're at now. These 10 years, we have seen the most development in the country, neighbor.
But before you go there though, did you ever feel as a young man, growing up in West Kingston, seeing the defeats of Siaga, that the Jamaica Labour Party would now be celebrating a 10th straight year in government? Did you see that?
Neighbor, to be honest, neighbor, I didn't see it, neighbor, based on how we saw the politics at the time, neighbor. I know things are going, neighbor. I definitely didn't see it, neighbor. I definitely, if I should say that I saw this coming, neighbor, I would definitely be lying, neighbor. I didn't see it, but I am glad that I am here to witness it.
You never saw it as a young man?
No, neighbor. I based on how the country was, neighbor, based on how the dynamics of our politics was, neighbor, based on how strong the People's National Party was, neighbor.
Yes.
I never see it, neighbor. I never definitely couldn't see it coming.
I never saw it either. I'm going to play something and I want you to comment on it, Scratchy, because I want to ask you a couple of questions about this man, Andrew Holness. Hold on there for me. Hold on there for me. I want to get your comments on that because I think it speaks a lot about his character. Here is
Andrew Holness stands undefeated. Mr. Holness has survived yet another internal attack to oust him as leader of the Jamaica Labour Party JLP. On Monday, Mr. Holness easily won a secret ballot which decided his fate as JLP leader. 20 of the JLP's 21 members of parliament gathered at the party's Belmont Road headquarters in Kingston to cast their ballots, except Deputy Leader J.C. Hutchinson. Mr. Hutchinson was absent due to ill health. However, he sent his ballot in a letter. CNews understands that at least 2/3 of the caucus voted for Holness. 13 of the MPs supported him remaining as their leader, while 7 opposed. It's reported that these 7 who opposed include those who had supported Audley Shaw over Mr. Holness for leader in the November 2013 contentious leadership battle. Our sources say James Robertson, Audley Shaw, Marissa Dalrymple Silbert, Delroy Chuck, Gregory Mayer, and Darrell Valls all voted against Holness remaining as party leader.
Here you go, Scratchy. Did you hear those names?
Yes, neighbor.
What does it say to you about Holness to have these people as senior members of his cabinet even at this time? What does it say about it?
Neighbor, definitely, neighbor. It shows character, neighbor. It shows character, neighbor. It shows true leadership skill, leadership qualities, neighbor. And it shows, neighbor, that despite this person didn't support him in the runoff, neighbor, it didn't dampen him or try to put him in a way against them, neighbor, because we have seen, neighbor, where even when you look at Miss Dalrymple, neighbor, Miss Dalrymple was removed from the cabinet, neighbor, because of certain circumstances, neighbor, and he brought her back. You know,
she was removed from a Speaker of the House.
As Speaker of the House, neighbor, and he brought her back, neighbor, in the fall and stuff like that, neighbor. She even resigned as a member of parliament.
By the Jamaica Labour Party.
Hold on, sorry about that, Scratch. Go ahead.
Yeah, I believe she even resigned as an MP at one point in time, I believe.
She did.
Yes, and she's back, neighbor, in the fall, and neighbor, it definitely shows character, neighbor. It definitely shows character, and it shows how different this government is, neighbor, from the opposition, because we see where the opposition had a runoff, and we see where persons are still being victimized because they didn't support the current leader. And we see where persons who didn't support Andrew Holness, neighbor, still hold high senior position in the cabinet right now. Case in point, and look at Mr. Darrell Valls and the role that Mr. Darrell Valls plays right now in the cabinet, neighbor. It shows a neighbor. Definitely shows character, neighbor, and shows that Andrew Michael Holness, neighbor, is not someone who hold up people in his heart, neighbor, because of whatever choice they may choose at a specific time, neighbor. True leader, neighbor. True leader.
No. The reason I raised that is that Holness was not only challenged by Shaw, but there was a confidence vote against him. In other words, the party moved a no confidence vote against this man. Scratchy, Holness has undertaken a lot, not only outside from, but even within the Jamaica Labour Party itself. He had to fight it through.
Neighbor, even within the Jamaica Labour Party itself, neighbor, we don't want to stir up any old wounds or anything like that, neighbor. But there's a lot of rumors, neighbor. when Andrew Holness was just in the fresh start of his leadership, neighbor, a lot of rumors were being circulated, neighbor. Even his safety, neighbor, was tend to be rumors were being made about his safety at one point. You know?
Yes.
And it is very great, neighbor, to see that Andrew Michael Holness has revamped himself, neighbor, has come back as one of the most dynamic leaders that we've ever seen in our history. And I can say, neighbor, that Andrew Holness, neighbor, them lick him down, neighbor, them pick him up, neighbor, very hard man for that, neighbor. True definition of a leader, neighbor. Very, very strong leader, neighbor.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that is to be noted, Scratchy, is that at this point in the Holness dynasty, is that his legacy which is still being written, is going to be phenomenal, Scratchy. I think by now we can say he has outpaced all previous prime ministers in terms of his performance. Is that not correct?
Yeah, but Andrew Holness, neighbor, single-handedly outdone every other prime minister, neighbor. If you look at every prime minister from independence till now, neighbor, you can safely say, neighbor, that Andrew Michael Holness has done a whole lot, way more for things that are not just done a whole lot, neighbor, because sometimes as a prime minister, it's not just what you do, neighbor, but the impact of what you have done and the long-standing reward and historic trend that these things that you have done. You know, when you look at the compensation review, and persons might say, why Scratchy always have the compensation review? The compensation review, neighbor, is something that was on the books, neighbor, for over 30 years. No government, no prime minister, no minister of finance, all of them was afraid to touch this, neighbor. And these are bold moves, neighbor, that change the whole prospect of government. And Andrew Holness came and interviewed and done the compensation review. When you look at the public sector transformation, you look at the whole development of our road network and stuff like that, neighbor. This is one of the most impactful prime ministers that we have seen, neighbor. Prime ministers that have done things that not just do things, neighbor, but things that have national meaning and sentimental meaning and are very important to the upward bringing and the forward of our country in terms of our development and our growth.
Yeah. No. For the party itself, Scratchy, because Holness is the leader of the team. I heard you made the comment last night that it's not only about a one-man band. One of the phenomenal things is that the party seems so united behind Holness. There has been no fractiousness among these people since Holness has taken over, or at least since he won the election. If it happens, Scratchy, then we don't know about it. How has he been able to do that?
All right, no, neighbor.
The personalities in the party, like Vaz, like Mackenzie, like Warmington. Even Warmington, he seemed to have had under quite a rap. I see Warmington now being elevated to being at the electoral commission.
Yeah, but when you look at the Jamaica Labour Party history, neighbor, and you look at how fractured this organization was, neighbor, in the 90s, last 4 general election, neighbor, as a result of infighting, neighbor. And when you look at, yes, we can accredit it to Bruce Golding, neighbor, but even with Bruce Golding, we had a massive defeat in 2011, neighbor, where we lost a whole lot of constituencies again. And neighbor, to know that Andrew Michael Holness came in power from 2016, neighbor, and not just while he was in power. I think the change started while he was in opposition from 2012 to 2016. He formulated a very wonderful team around himself. And when you look from 2016 till now, you can look at it, neighbor, and say that Andrew Michael Holness, neighbor, his leadership style, his leadership quality, and the creativity that he brings as a leader has definitely, neighbor, brought a lot of these Jamaica Labour Party members, neighbor, under one fold. When you look at someone like a Carl Samuda, all these persons come out and speak highly of Andrew Holness, neighbor. When you look at a Daryl Vaz, these are persons who are much older than Andrew Holness, neighbor, and persons who might think that the Labour Party, they are more vital and more things in the Labour Party than Andrew Holness. When you look at a Desmond Mackenzie, neighbor, a long-standing member like a Desmond Mackenzie, a long-standing member himself and long-standing in age, and you look at the respect that a Desmond Mackenzie offer to Andrew Michael Holness. You look at a Mr. Warmington, neighbor, someone who's not afraid to speak his mind. And we hear him still come out and speak, but we know that despite him coming out and speak, neighbor, he's still speaking a certain way where he doesn't go too far. He still tries to maintain that certain
Holness a lot.
Yes, he still tries to maintain that certain level.
And as a matter of fact, one of the very loyal ones to Holness too, sir.
Very, very loyal to the Prime Minister, to Holness, neighbor. And so I can tell you, neighbor, that we neighbor looking out, neighbor, we just see Holness, neighbor, from outside, neighbor. We don't encounter with him on an everyday basis. We don't talk to him on an everyday basis, neighbor. And I can tell you that for these persons, neighbor, to revere so much respect and so much honor for someone who's much younger than them, I can definitely say, neighbor, that it's because of his leadership style, his leadership quality that he brings to the table, neighbor. That is why so many of these persons, long-standing members of the Jamaica Labour Party, persons who might even be sometimes we know how Jamaica is, neighbor. We know how Jamaica is, neighbor. Persons who might say that from a financial standpoint, neighbor, they might be in a better position than this man, so they're not going to take any talk. But that is not the problem. That is not the issue in the Jamaica Labour Party. Everyone rally around him, neighbor. Even the persons, neighbor, who he goes and seek from outside in the private sector. When you look at a Nigel Clark, you know, you could tell the respect that even a Nigel Clark had for Andrew Michael Holness, neighbor. When you look at a Dana Dixon, you can see the respect. When you look at even Mr. Keith Duncan, neighbor. When you look at a Keith Duncan in the Senate right now, someone who family neighbor but long standing with the People's National Party, you can see the respect that a Keith Duncan neighbor, also Michael Holness, Archie Marks. Someone, you know, these persons are private sector persons, these persons neighbor who for themselves can attain themselves, can finance themselves, neighbor, and have gained a lot of wealth in the private sector. And when you look at the respect, neighbor, that they have for the Prime Minister, neighbor, it is just so astonishing, neighbor, and such. So that when you look at persons like us, neighbor, we have no other choice, you know, but to just follow suit and say, what a mighty man Andrew Holness is, neighbor. Love and respect to this guy all the while.
He's a mighty man.
What a mighty man, neighbor.
Yeah. Let me take you back a little bit. Has he faced more scrutiny than previous prime ministers, Scratchy? Or is it simply the social media era? Is it that he is really facing more scrutiny, or is it just because of the expansion of social media and more voices? Talk to me. I
think, neighbor, that he faced a lot of he has faced more scrutiny, neighbor. When you look back, neighbor, say we're going to look at Mr. Siaga, neighbor. Yes, we know that Mr. Siaga came under a lot of slander. Mr. Siaga came under a lot of attacks, neighbor. And person might say, yes, social media wasn't as prevalent as it was now in during Mr. Siaga time. But despite that, neighbor, when you look at how things has changed, when you look at Andrew Michael Holness, I can tell you that even though Mr. Siaga came under a lot of slander, neighbor, they slandered him because of his complexion. That was the main reason, neighbor. It wasn't basically anything else why Mr. Siaga came under slander, neighbor, just because of his image. But when you look at Andrew Holness came under slander, neighbor, because of his image, neighbor, because of his social status, and because of the person of who he is. So you can say that this guy come under more slander than any other prime minister, neighbor. And with the advent of social media, neighbor, I think that has propelled it, neighbor, and pushed it even further. Because when you look at all institutions, you know, Mr. Siaga didn't come under, Mr. Siaga was in opposition for a very long time. So he didn't have the opportunity to come under any form of attack from a lot of the institutions. But when you look at the attack that Andrew Holness came under from institutions, neighbor, when you look at how many institutions have came out against Andrew Holness, neighbor, even institutions that are within the governance structure for our country, neighbor, these institutions still come out and they try to put him in certain light and make things look a certain way on him. When you look at private institutions, the media, and stuff like that, and even the current leadership right now of the People's National Party, neighbor, despite PJ Patterson attack towards Mr. Siaga, neighbor, you could still see that Mr. Patterson had some form of respect for Mr. Siaga. Same way, it was just from a political standpoint to keep Mr. Siaga in a position why Mr. Patterson was attacking the way he was. But when you look at how this current leadership of the People's National Party is attacking Andrew Holness, neighbor, it is not just political, it seems also personal, you know, where persons are afraid to eat, persons don't want to sit beside him, persons don't want to attend events, neighbor, where he's celebrated or where he's honored and stuff like that. So I would definitely say, neighbor, that Andrew Michael Holness, neighbors, came under more attack, neighbor, than any other prime minister, neighbor. And the reason why I would say, neighbor, is because social media has propelled that attack, neighbor. Other leaders came under attack when time social media wasn't as prevalent or as strong as it was now. When you attack Andrew Holness now, neighbor, a person living in Japan can see it, a person living in Europe can see it. When it was just attacking Mr. Siaga, it was just local and domestic to Jamaicans. So I definitely say, neighbor, that the attack that Mr. Andrew Holness has come under is way more far-reaching and way more threatening than what Mr. Siaga came under, any other prime minister.
Yeah. As an individual, Scratchy, I'm speaking to you now. What it is about Holness that impresses you the most? What do you admire most about it?
I mean, for me, neighbor, what I admire most about Andrew Holness, neighbor, is the fact that, neighbor, as a leader, neighbor, I have seen how this guy can manage crisis, neighbor. Neighbor, leader, we know everybody can be a leader, but we know when time leaders are tested, neighbor. Leaders are tested, neighbor, when time crisis arise. And with every crisis, neighbor, that I have seen arise, neighbor, this man has come out more stronger and even, not stronger and better. When you look at even COVID, when you look at how Andrew Holness maneuver COVID, I can't even go before COVID. Let's go all the way back to when he was challenged, the leadership challenge that he faced as a young leader. You know, he came and attacked neighbor from a very stalwart in the party at that time, a very popular member of the party at that time, Mr. Alisha neighbor. A lot of the long-standing members of the party were in support of Alisha. And nothing was wrong with that because Mr. Alisha was a main backer and the main attack dog of the political organization at that time. Andrew Holness, a new person, a new leader, you know. And when you look at how he
Shaw did feel that he was next in line after Golding. He was very
exactly. Shaw did feel that way, neighbor. So when you look at from that time, neighbor, how Andrew Holness came out strong out of that leadership race, neighbor. And when you look at how he came out strong out of that leadership race, neighbor, and they move forward now in 2016, neighbor, the attacks that he came on the neighbor, and he still managed to form the government. He formed a government, neighbor. When you look at COVID, how persons attack him in COVID, the crisis of COVID, neighbor, how Andrew Michael Holness steered us through COVID, neighbor, where a lot of first world nations, neighbor, were grappling to manage to get a handle over COVID. And we saw Andrew Holness did that, neighbor, when you look at the attack that he came under again over his house. And you know, you saw he came out strong out of that again. And when you look at Beryl, when you look at Hurricane Beryl, when you look at Hurricane Melissa right now, neighbor. So for me, leaders are, anyone can be a leader, neighbor, but I believe that leaders are tested, neighbor, in situation of crisis, neighbor. And I can say that Andrew Michael Holness is definitely a crisis manager, neighbor. He knows how to handle crisis. He doesn't buffer. He doesn't shake in times of weakness, neighbor. He's someone who stands tall and will always prevail. And I have to honor and respect him for that, neighbor, all the time.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to dig deep. A lot of us in Jamaica see Holness as the prime minister. You know him as the party leader. He's not only the prime minister, but he's the party leader. What is the difference here, Scratchy, between party leader and the statesman, prime minister?
All right, neighbor. And I think this is where Andrew Holness is winning, neighbor. A lot of our past prime ministers, neighbor, has failed, neighbor, to differentiate themselves from being the prime minister and being the leader of their of their political organization. They fail, you know. When you look at, especially from the opposition side, neighbor, they don't know how to differentiate between the leader. They always act as the leader of the opposition, no matter what. So for me, neighbor, the statesman Andrew Michael Holness, neighbor, as a leader, as a prime minister of Jamaica, neighbor, in terms of our governance structure, neighbor, in terms of the well-being of our citizens, neighbor, in terms of making sure that our most vulnerable are cared for and taken care of, making sure that that our economic, neighbor, our security and our health, things that matter the most, our education are on par and are up to a certain level, you know, making sure, neighbor, that Jamaica as a form of international standard, some form of international respect. And I think he has done a wonderful job in doing that. He's definitely a statesman. Now, when you look from a political standpoint now, neighbor, and we have to always remember now, neighbor, this is very important because it is political organizations, neighbor, that form government. It is not government that form political organization. So when you look at Andrew Michael Holness, neighbor, we have to say that, neighbor, based on his stewardship or his leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party, it is that, neighbor, that leadership style and that leadership quality now where you can manage different personalities of persons, managing how you go about choosing candidates for general election, the type of candidates that you choose. And when you choose those candidates and you become the prime minister, it is now up to deciding now who get which cabinet, who will decide to be a cabinet minister and stuff like that.
That's the technocratic man is the prime minister, but the strategist is the party leader.
The strategist, neighbor, is the party leader, neighbor. And I can definitely tell you again, neighbor, it is political organizations that form government, not government that form political organizations.
So a lot of the credit that we give to someone like Dr. Chang should go to Holness too, because he would have an influence in the direction the party goes, the candidates that are chosen. Take, for example, the Audrey Marks candidacy in Manchester Northeastern. That's a major strategic move for Manchester. They have one central by that move, you know.
That was a master stroke, neighbor. The master stroke, neighbor, and again, that wasn't from a governance level, that's from a political standpoint, neighbor. That was a master stroke. Yes, Andrew, I mean, Dr. Chang is the General Secretary, and we know the role of the General Secretary, neighbor, but you must also understand that he's the leader of the party, neighbor, that has the final talk, despite Dr. Chang being the General Secretary. And a lot of these persons, neighbor, a lot of these candidates that we saw in the last general election, neighbor, and we can even swing and say RG Marks, neighbor, I can definitely say, neighbor, that Andrew Michael Holness, as the leader of the party, neighbor, played a vital role in that, because remember now, neighbor, down there in that constituency, neighbor, there were problems, you know, and the Prime Minister went down there and he said to the candidates, I'm not ordering anyone to campaign, no campaigning, just relax and ease on yourself, a decision will be made. And a lot of us as Labour right were saying that we don't know what is going on, what the Prime Minister did.
Yes.
And we saw, neighbor, where we got a candidate, neighbor, where a masterclass candidate, neighbor, a female who was done in Jamaica so proud and done so well.
Yes.
And she, neighbor, her presence down there in Manchester, in that parish, neighbor, helped propel our victory in central Manchester as well. Because of
I tell you that, yes.
Because of the impact and the weight,
and we never came too far in Southern.
And we never came too far in Southern, neighbor, just because of the impact, neighbor, that someone like a RG Marks, neighbor, how powerful of a lady she is, neighbor.
Absolutely.
And that
so yes, Strategy. I'm wanting you to double down on it. The party leader is also important in the party forming the government and him becoming Prime Minister. And remember also, Scratchy, that he has to lead the campaign for the party.
Definitely, neighbor. He has to also lead the campaign for the party, neighbor. Plus, he has to play a vital role, neighbor, in terms of the candidates that we are chosen. That's why I always tell the neighbor, if we're going to go match for match and match the candidates from the Jamaica Labour Party, the 63 candidates who were in the last election, compared to the 63 candidates who were from the opposition side, neighbor, the opposition is of no comparison, neighbor.
In terms of candidates.
In terms of candidate, neighbor, Andrew Holness, neighbor, directly went out in search, neighbor, for persons who have global connection, neighbor, persons who have an academic level, neighbor, to whatever ministry that he's planning to place them in, neighbor. This is a man, neighbor, who is not just a politician, I would say, neighbor. He's more than a politician. And that is why we are seeing this type of governance structure from Andrew Holness, neighbor. And that's why we have seen how he has also changed the political landscape. As I often said, Andrew Holness single-handedly changed the political landscape, neighbor, from a political standpoint, and he has changed our governance structure, neighbor. I have never seen so many persons, neighbor, from the private sector, leaving private sector, neighbor, to come into government, neighbor, to be a part of the governance structure and be a part of the development of our country. RG Marks, Dana Dixon, neighbor, these are persons who didn't need to come and put themselves in any greener areas.
Albin Hill.
Albin Hill, when you look at even Albin in neighbor, these are persons who never have to put themselves in this, neighbor. And these persons came over, and a lot of them, neighbor, or all of them, neighbor, they came over as a result of the good leadership quality and leadership style that they admire of Andrew Michael Holness, neighbor. A lot of us, neighbor, see Andrew Holness, and we see this man just as a normal person, neighbor. We don't know who we have as a Prime Minister right now, you know. And I can tell you, neighbor, that all of us who share this Jamaican citizenship, neighbor, and say that we are proud Jamaican. You cannot say you're a proud Jamaican if you're not proud of Andrew Holness.
Yeah. No, Scratchy, let me ask you this. How did Holness manage to defeat Portia Simpson Miller in 2016, despite unfavorable polls, pundits' predictions? What strategic miscalculation did the People's National Party make? Is it that they didn't participate in the leadership debate? Why did Holness win? Oh, hold on there. I wonder if it was this. Listen to this.
The 25th of February is payday, and we think you should get a break. The Jamaica Labour Party will remove income tax from the salaries of approximately 118,000 workers. This includes most teachers, nurses, security forces, and many public and private sector workers. You could take home as much as $18,000 more on your pay per month. That's more towards your mortgage. That could go towards an additional room on your house. That's an additional uniform for your child to go to school, or simply a bit more food on your table. This will actually stimulate economic growth. Follow the discussion about our economic plans on my Facebook page, Andrew Holness, the party's page, the Jamaica Labour Party, or download our mobile app, JLP 2016, from the Google Play Store. Join us in the Partnership for Prosperity. This payday, Vote for more pay. Vote for the Jamaica Labour Party.
Was it that did it in 2016, Scratchy, or how did Holness manage to defeat Portia? Because Portia, before you come in there, Scratchy, listen to this.
Oh, a big one. But if he was my child, he would have been behaving differently. So he's no longer my son. But I love him. I still love him. But he's not my son.
Polls have shown that there is a swing to the Jamaica Labour Party. And we're going to see some surprises in some seats.
Of course I'm going to win. What do you mean for ask me if I'm going to win? I said win big. I look like a loser to you.
The PNP are spending to try and buy the election. And there is a certain percentage of the electorate that responds. In fact, because they are so frustrated, they say, I don't know that they will be changed. So just give me what you give me now. That's dangerous. Because what it does, it could entrench a government that doesn't respond to it.
I can't predict what the turnout of voters will be. What I can say, we are working on the ground and we are working very hard with peace and love. And we go to the people with peace and love.
We want opportunities. And I don't believe that the present set of leaders, Peter Phillips and Portia Simpson Miller, they understand that they come from a different generation. They're way off the mark.
All right, watch election night. You need to come here election night so we can give you one big thumb. I know you want to. When we win.
Scratchy. Mrs. Simpson Miller was oozing with confidence, Scratchy. Yes, it was a close election. But how did he do it? How did Holness manage to win 2016? Was it the 1.5 or did the PNP miscalculated the political narrative in the country? How did he manage?
I mean, it's a lot of things there, but I think near that after last in that election nearby in September and in December nearby of 2011, and Jonas became the opposition leader nearby, and I think nearby that Jamaicans nearby saw a young prime minister in 2011 nearby who called an election nearby last election.
Sorry about
and I think nearby that he despite being the opposition leader neighbor, we could definitely see where this guy was growing. He was maturing neighbor. He had a better understanding of how governance structured work and how being the leader of the opposition work. And after overcoming,
how did they manage to finance that election, because it was a powerful election, you know.
Yes, I'm gonna say now it was the overcoming neighbor of the leadership challenge that kind of built Jonas' confidence neighbor. He changed from that after that leadership challenge neighbor, it was a brand new Jonas neighbor, if you can remember. He changed neighbor, and as a leader of the opposition neighbor, he didn't just oppose to every single thing that the People's National Party was coming with neighbor. He saw a thing that was in the best interest of the country, and he worked with the opposition neighbor. Now the key point now neighbor. The key point neighbor for Andrew Michael Holness neighbor was the 1.5 neighbor. No, it was again neighbor, it's all about strategy neighbor. You cannot beat the People's National Party neighbor without you giving something or trying to incentivize the public sector neighbor.
In terms of a social policy.
The big neighbor, the public sector was the biggest voting bloc that was in support for the People's National Party. And I think neighbor that when Andrew Holness and Alicia and the Jamaica Labour Party introduced that 1.5 plan neighbor, a lot of persons neighbor working in the public sector, working in the private sector neighbor, who at that time neighbor salaries would be impacted, where they would have saved that additional 18,000 neighbor. I thought based on how the Jamaica Labour Party marketed it, based on how they advertise it neighbor, I think neighbor that these guys, they bought into it neighbor. They bought into it. And believe that at the time, based on where we were at the time, neighbor, with the IMF deal and the austerity measures that was being introduced by Peter Phillips and Portia Simpson Miller, neighbor, Peter Phillips came on national TV trying to tax transaction at ATM and couldn't even explain it and stuff like that. And Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, they were very smart, neighbor, because the public sector was the largest voting bloc that was always in support of the opposition. And I think, neighbor, that from 2016 till now, Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party has taken away the public sector from the People's National Party. And that is why up to now, Andrew Michael Holness is still the Prime Minister, neighbor, because he continues to make sure, neighbor, that whatever the government come with is in place, something is in place. When you look at the public sector transformation, again, I have to talk about that, neighbor. The largest increase in salary for public sector wage workers, neighbor. The Jamaica Labour Party did that, neighbor. Andrew Holness, neighbor, knows what it is to win an election, neighbor. He's a political genius. And for me, won that 2016 election, neighbor, Andrew Holness cannot lose the next election again once he won that 2016 election. He didn't win that 2016 election, neighbor, by any chance. It was political tragedy. And they didn't have much funding either. I want to tell you, neighbor, the PNP had more funding than them. They didn't have much funding, neighbor. What they did, neighbor, was campaign, neighbor, and the emotions of Jamaicans, neighbor. Let Jamaicans know that we were suffering, and let Jamaicans know that the leadership style and the leadership quality that we were getting from Mrs. Simsimila wasn't at the best star. We deserve way more than that. And I also think that when Mrs. Simsimila backed down from going up against
from the
neighbor,
debate.
in that debate, neighbor. In that debate, it showed her up as well, neighbor. Because one thing with Jamaicans in the neighbor. Jamaicans the one knows whosoever lead them, you don't start a fool. I'm not saying Mr. Simpson is. But what I'm saying is, neighbor, Jamaican don't like them. Jamaica, we tell you, don't make no fool lead you. They don't want to lead by no fool, neighbor. And I thought that at the time, a lot of things were being brought up to question Mrs. Simpson capability, neighbor, ability or skill to lead us into where we wanted to go. And Andrew Holness, neighbor, campaigned well with that 1.5. Arbin Hill, neighbor, Arbin Hill played a major role in that 1.5 plan as well, neighbor.
Because people thought he had the credibility as a banker.
He had the credibility as a banker, neighbor. He was a banker and he was pushing it. I remember he was all over the media telling them that yes, it can be done. When everyone else was saying that it cannot be done, neighbor, Arbin Hill was breaking it down and telling us that it can be done. And it did happen, neighbor.
And people never saw him as a politician necessarily. They saw him as a man from the private sector.
That is a very good thing, neighbor, that where people didn't see him as a politician, so they didn't see him as a trickster. They saw him as a man from the private sector. They saw him as a man who is a banker who understands the system, and a lot of persons bought into it. Private sector persons bought into the 1.5, neighbor, and most importantly, public sector worker, teachers, the military, soldiers, police, doctors, nurses, they bought into it, neighbor, because the government, the opposition at the time, they marketed it so well, neighbor. They even made flyers, neighbor. There were a lot of flyers outlining step by step how they were going to introduce this program and stuff like that, neighbor. And they did that in 2016. And I can tell you, neighbor, that from Andrew Holness won that 2016 election, I don't see which other election Andrew Holness can lose, neighbor.
Because that probably was the hardest one. Listen to this.
Hardest one, neighbor. It was 42-20.
Following is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Hold on.
I have with me here a pay slip for a typical employee at an insurance company. This is, by the way, a supervisor. This supervisor is paid a gross amount of $984,878 annually, just under $1 million. That is a take home of $82,500 per month gross. From that monthly gross, the PAYE deduction is $7,655.35. Multiply that by 12 months. You get a savings of $91,864 that this employee will now have additional in her hands to take home. It is time to give our people a break, and we must move from poverty to prosperity.
The proceeding was a paid
Scratchy. I remember I was in school at the time, and we never had any class. Night after night, we never had any class. All the students were discussing, and the lecturers was the 1.5. It was a brilliant
1.5 took over Jamaica, neighbor. 1.5 took over Jamaica, neighbor. Yes. Every single person who had the ability to 1.5 to impact them, they were just talking about 1.5. Doctors, teachers, nurses, Everyone, neighbor. And that is where I said the Jamaica Labour Party took away the public sector from the People's National Party. Because we know, neighbor, in previous election, neighbor, the public sector was a black that went out hard for the People's National Party, neighbor.
Yes. That is so true. The one part. So you think that the turn, by the way, Scratchy, in 2007, the Labour Party did the same thing with the free healthcare and the free
10-point plan.
No, the free healthcare and the free tuition. That's golden. You had to do something. That probably did it for them then.
Neighbor, Labour Party, neighbor, is not like the People's National Party, neighbor. Every time the Jamaica Labour Party is in opposition, neighbor, for the Jamaica Labour Party to come to government, neighbor, the Labour Party has to introduce some type of game-changing policy, some type of game-changing programs that they're going to introduce. The People's National Party, the last election, neighbor, all these guys came, it was time come. Baseless and empty slogan, neighbor, that couldn't help nobody. That is why Jamaicans rejected them, neighbor, because I can tell you, neighbor, that the Jamaica Labour Party and the Andrew Michael Holness have set the bar so high that the People's National Party cannot match it, neighbor. And that is why I tell you, I cannot see them winning any election because they are not forward thinkers, neighbor. They are not policy creators, neighbor. They don't know nothing about governance and economy. They only can win things if the Jamaica Labour Party fumble. That is the only way the People's National Party can rise. Through the Jamaica Labour Party fall. That's the only way, neighbor. One as long as the Jamaica Labour Party is steady and know what they are doing, neighbor, and free from corruption and any form of mishaps and stuff like that, neighbor, the PNP will never see back Jamaica because the PNP can never craft a master plan and introduce it to Jamaicans and say, Jamaicans, this is what we are introducing to you. Vote for us. Vote for this. Never can do it, neighbor. The only way the People's National Party can form government is when some mishaps or some blunder happen on the part of the Jamaica Labour Party.
Listen to young Holness.
That tuition fees are mandatory, effectively reversing the free tuition policy. The government that I lead and the government of which I was a part made it easier for you to send your children to school. This government is making it more difficult. That is a big difference between the PNP and the Jamaica Labour Party. You will always have the critics who will tell you, what are the plans? What did you say? And so we want to answer them. We want to finish the argument once and for all. The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP.
You agree with that strategy?
Neighbor, 1000%, neighbor. The Jamaica Labour Party is a better government than the PNP, neighbor. The Jamaica Labour Party, neighbor, is all about the welfare and the development of Jamaicans and Jamaica and a whole, neighbor. While the PNP, neighbor, is all about benefiting themselves and a few of their cronies and the proxy groups that support them. That is what we have gotten from the People's National Party. I always tell you guys, go check back from the 90s and compare your life to now. And anyone who said that the 90s was way better than now, or they are living better in the 90s than they are living now, the reason why you are not living good now is as a result of your own carelessness or your own worthlessness. It is not as a result of the policies and the program that was introduced by this government. Because any well-thinking person, neighbor, any ambitious person, neighbor.
You are saying the only reason that they're not living well now is their own worthlessness?
Neighbor, anyone, neighbor, who says that their life were better on a PNP than it is under this Jamaica Labour Party government for the past 10 years, neighbor, it is because you are worthless and it is because you are careless. Because I can tell you, neighbor, that if you are following the policies and the guidelines that are introduced by this government, neighbor, I don't see how you must go to your bed hungry at night time. I don't see how your child must go to school without lunch money at daytime, because the things that have been introduced by this government, neighbor, the largest social programs have been introduced by Andrew Michael Holness, neighbor. The largest compensation review in the history of Jamaica has been introduced by this government, neighbor. The largest increase in minimum wage has been introduced by this government, neighbor. The largest reduction in poverty, Andrew Holness. The lowest crime rate, Andrew Holness. The lowest poverty rate, Andrew Holness. The most communities got water, Andrew Holness. Roads that were never paved, neighbor, in 30 and 40 years started to get carpet. One time, neighbor, remember the team, the talk in Jamaica at one point in time was carpet. The talk in Jamaica at one point in time was carpet, neighbor. This is the government that laid carpet across the length of Jamaica. Neighbor, anyone who said that their life don't change or they haven't seen any form of improvement in their life and they were living better on the PNP, neighbor, are persons who are worthless, they are careless, neighbor, and they are selfish because they were just receiving personal aid and personal gain. Neighbor, I tell you, I support the Jamaica Labour Party. My reason, I am a diehard Labour, right? Yes, but despite being a diehard Labour, right, neighbor, I am a well-thinking person, neighbor. I am a critical thinker. And I support the Jamaica Labour Party as well, neighbor, because of all this government don't just come out and put things in place that benefit one person or two person, neighbor. This government here put in policies and programs, neighbor, that benefit the whole well-being of Jamaica. Spark program, neighbor. Spark program was for the JLP constituency alone, neighbor. All 63 constituencies benefited from Spark program. The social housing program, neighbor. The social housing program is not to any PNP JLP constituency, neighbor. All 63 constituencies benefit from the social program, neighbor. The compensation review, neighbor. Everybody, neighbor. PNP.
So you said if people are not progressing under this, is workless, they're workless.
Yeah, but anybody who can't strive and can't survive under this government, you're worthless. You're a worthless piece of what people want to say it. Anybody who cannot survive and take your life hard, you are worthless. Go get your life together.
Oh gosh.
Can't tell you that, neighbor. Workless people, anybody say them and them life no better, neighbor. Workless. Any one of them here come and talk about all this wicked man life hard, all life hard, and unemployment rate at 3.5% compared to 2015, 2016 when unemployment at 13.5%. All life hard when time poverty rate at 8.5% compared to 2015, 2016 when poverty at 21%. Come on, man, neighbor, man. These people must be crazy. What kind of life hard? What kind of life hard? I work with them, work this neighbor, man. Anybody, man. It's a life hard, man. I work this neighbor. Any one of them.
Boy, I tell you all of them.
Oh, gosh.
If it is a race, we have won it. And now that I am calling it, we will win it. I've written to the Governor General and advised him to proclaim Friday the 5th of February 2016. If it is a mountain, we have climbed it. If it is a river, we have crossed it. If it is a test, we have passed it. If it is a race, we have won it. And now that I am calling it, we will win it. Are you ready?
Oh, gosh.
Are you ready? Are you ready to step up the progress?
Oh, gosh.
If it is a mountain, we have climbed it. If it is a river, we have crossed it. If it is a test, we have passed it. If it is a race, we have won it. And now that I am calling it, we will win it. I've written to the Governor General and advised him to proclaim Friday the 5th of February 2016 as the day to dissolve the current parliament. I have also advised the Governor General that nomination day for candidates offering themselves for the parliamentary elections will be Tuesday, the 9th day of February 2016.
Undecided voters, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. I am to start your engine.
They have have been calling for elections for a long time now. Them get it now, and them go and get a whipping at the polls, at the polls, at the polls. Oh gosh.
Oh gosh.
Scratchy.
Neighbor.
The theater of politics is fascinating. You never thought that Porsche would have lost that election, eh?
Neighbor, if it was about slangs and slogan, neighbor, and hype. Mama,
if it is a test, we have passed it. If it is a hill, we have climbed it.
Exactly.
At the polls. At the polls.
Exactly, but I want to tell Mama P, and I want to tell Mama P, say, if it's a test here, but if it's an election, you lost it. It was an election and you lost it. She never said that, no. She never said if it's an election, we will win it. She didn't say if it is an election, we will win it. She said she called it, she will win it. But if it is an election, you will lose it. Oh gosh. She called everything neighbor, but she didn't call the election. She called everything. She climbed mountain, she passed tests, she crossed river, but she never say if it's an election, you have lost it. She called everything neighbor except the election. Everything she called except the election. Oh gosh.
She lost it. Boy, I tell you, she actually went into political retirement, you know, Scratchy. She has returned.
Break it, Jamaica. Political retirement, neighbor. The Andrew Holness neighbor is going to send so much. Send Peter Phillips.
Pick up yourself, Sister P. It's a mountain, you climb it. If it's a test, you pass it. If it's a river, you run through it. But you call it or you lose it. Boy, I tell you, this is fantastic, fantastic stuff. Anyway, happy birthday to you, Harry. How you doing, sir?
Yes, happy birthday, Harry. Happy birthday, my bro. Enough love and respect every time, my bro.
Yeah, man, Scratchy. I'm doing good in the neighbor. Good night, everybody.
1,000 respect, Harry, man.
Happy birthday to you, man.
Yes, neighbor, you caught me. I open gifts, you know.
Did I really?
Yeah, man.
You're opening gifts. Oh, well, that's fantastic. Well, we have to take a little pause to birthday to our resident analyst, Harry. I'm sure the moderator wants to wish him a happy birthday. Moderator?
Happy birthday, Harry. But neighbor, I already wish Harry happy birthday on his birthday, you know.
Oh, you did? You called him today?
No, I did. Well, Harry has been celebrating from when Harry Saturday.
It's so long you're gonna take to put you out, man?
Yeah, of course, neighbor. It take a while, you know.
All right. He's been half out from Saturday. Oh, you never know that.
Yes, but Harry, I know today is your birthday, and please allow me to wish you a very happy birthday. I hope you had a wonderful day. So happy you're a part of the family, and just know that we love you very much.
Absolutely. Come 10:30, listeners, it's going to be your time to either come up and talk to Harry, wish him a happy birthday, or to send him a gift. We are making arrangements for that. But let's get back to the program content, Harry. Harry, the Jamaica Labour Party today is celebrating 10 years of economic stewardship of Jamaica. Would you put that into context for me, based on where the country is coming from, what the party inherited in 2016 and where we are now? Would you like to just take us through that?
Sure, neighbor. All right.
Yes.
So what we're looking at was starting off in terms of instability from a governance standpoint.
In 2016.
Internally. Right. We had a lot of wastage happening. We have a lot of persons were in positions that they weren't qualified. Jobs weren't being carried out properly. And that manufactured itself into other areas of not just governance, but throughout the country, because institutions were failing because persons weren't doing what they're supposed to do. You heard me spoke a few nights ago regarding the JUTC. That was a cash cow for illegal activities, and it burdened taxpayers, right? So much that within a few years we saved $1 billion, and hence why we have the rural bus program. Now that is to show you the level of waste and mismanagement that was happening, neighbor, which hurt the poorest set of people's pockets, because at that time we were burdened with several different taxations.
Yes.
Of course, we knew where minimum wage was. We also knew that we weren't producing much of anything. Most of unemployment was at one of its highest, right? We couldn't get that off the ground. We were overly dependent, and I know people will say we're still dependent on the top three, which is for foreign revenues, which is tourism, well, remittance first, tourism, and then there was the BPO, but BPO was an upcoming thing, and we were so reliant on it that whenever we heard of, June period starting, neighbor, we start fret, because, after hurricane and all of that come, we didn't have enough to any buffering, for one. Unlike now, we hear the government having the ease to now budget a $5 billion put aside for this period, whether or not we get disasters. Our baby, which was tourism, kept getting hurt over and over. We didn't get astronomical numbers in terms of, growth that we saw in that industry. We weren't as heavily competitive as we thought. So our cash cow was getting hurt. Then we relied too much on the diaspora when it comes down to remittances, and this money wasn't bringing development and growth like that, because the true power of the diaspora is not the remittance, but rather the skill sets and the brain, the new ideologies that they are experienced to from what persons would call first world countries. We weren't getting that back. We also weren't getting investments from the diaspora, which is separate from remittances, because when we look at remittances, that is to help out families that are here, right? But we didn't have the diaspora backing and have that confidence to say, yes, if they invest in Jamaica, they'll see returns and so on. We didn't get that because crime was at a high consistently, right? We couldn't get that monster under control. Our people was living in fear of both lawful and unlawful sides of the coin, because there was no trust in the police at all. We had, in fact, neighbor, I think you probably would have known, we had a gang in the police force. I think it was around Clarendon side that were guns for hire, basically, right? And these things were allowed, which crippled the execution of the law that should be for the people, and we just couldn't get that under control. And as such, it showed up. I know Bunting would have said, divine intervention, and that showed the lowest critical level that we were at, that the man who was supposed to carry out and be a part of, the shareholders, bring everybody together to try and help protect the people, was crying for just the Lord's divine intervention. So that showed us we were down on our knees, neighbor. The global community knew of Jamaica's potential, but what they saw was another country that failed to even sustain themselves, much less to grow, right? We know of the term negative growth, which is nonsense. I think the mass media needs to come out, even to today's date, and apologize to Jamaicans for publishing that nonsense, right?
Yes.
We saw institutions failing internally because they have agendas. Persons were placed in specific areas to ensure that a set was deemed more valuable and earned, while the mass suffered at the hands of that, right? And we don't have to go all the way back in the 90s to see that, because that was rampant in the early 2000s, right?
Yes.
Now, all of that taxation after taxation was burdening the most vulnerable people, right? Our farmers were feeling it. In fact, we had problems with, they have a terminology for it, neighbor, where food security. We had problems with that. There was multiple times every single year. Once it hit this time of year, you know St. Elizabeth I go cry. You knew, and there were bread basket. You knew St. Anne was going to cry too, because there was no level of security, no measures put in place to protect the very people who feeds us. Right? There was no linkage between industries, nothing from manufacturing. They cried because of high energy rates with what happened with JPS. And I know they still cry a little more now, but things are a little better. Right? But what was happening was that industries were going under, neighbor, and we couldn't put our best foot forward. In fact, we didn't even know if we had feet. Right? We were down on the knees when compared to even our neighbors. Right? And it's not a good thing when you hear a country neighbor, and I always stress this, being compared to becoming the Greece of the West.
Yes.
That is the lowest of low that you can get at that time. Right? It simply means your dollar never value anything. Right? You had in terms of the unemployment, which I said, that was what, 13, almost 14% at one point. Right?
Yes.
Then we had the likes of, macroeconomic instability that was there. The financial sector was being burdened. There weren't any structure in place. Right? We had to thank God for IMF. I always say it. Right? They ran us. Yes, we didn't have any sovereignty, but that was what we needed, because quote unquote governing ourselves at that time, because of the poor management that were there. We weren't really being governed any at all. We were being stripped aside. In fact, those at the helm were parasitic. The nature between the people and those in leadership were parasitic, neighbor. Right?
Yes.
I don't know if you know, I think they call it the love bush, where you throw it and it suffocates the host. Right? It spreads, it feeds off the host. And that was exactly what it did. It was sucking out any potential from the very people of Jamaica, which actually pushed more towards our brain drain. So the brain drain would have started earlier, but it went to extreme high numbers in the early 2000s because of what was happening. There was nothing there for people. And you always hear me say as well, neighbor, we are the most degreed country, meaning people with the most degree in the entire region. And there was nothing here for them. But we saw, as the political arena changed and we got a new Holness coming into the fray. Many didn't know what to expect, because experience wasn't on his side in terms of high level leadership. But I think something that I characterized him with, the neighbor, is a pastor teacher, right? Most of us just call it parson, right? Or pastor. And what that encapsulates is that you had to go through a phase of learning, right, before you're able to take lead. That is something he embodied even to this day. That's why he's good at risk management and seeking. But what that did, and I think it came from his years of teaching, neighbor, right, where he had an eye, and you would probably have a great idea how this works, where you can look at somebody and understand what their potential are and how far they can go. And you will nurture that person to ensure that they live up to that potential. And Scratchy touched on it earlier, how he was able to find persons, right, and put them into specific areas. Nigel Clark, who is no longer with us, right? We look at Favour Williams came in. Most people didn't know of her because she was in the back end doing a lot of the work, right? You had Albin Hill was there, but not that active. Audrey Marks was a key one because she had a lot, and still do have a lot of international connections, global connections that Jamaica will have to lean on at some point in time. So we were putting and assembling a team that Jamaica never saw before. And they ensure that there's a level of continuity. Because I can tell a neighbor, the Keith Duncan pull that happened, that surprised everybody, it shouldn't have been a surprise. Because a little birdie nudged me and tell me, say, listen, he's been at it in terms of going after Mr. Duncan, for a few years now.
That's Holness.
Right. So he knew who he wanted, and he's been doing it from his conception of becoming the party leader. Right. So now we saw how everything came together bit by bit. And now people started buying to it because of the results that we were seeing. Of course, you know, job creation being over 250,000, right?
Yes.
Reduction in youth unemployment from a whopping 32% to 11%. Neighbor, 33% is 1/3 of 100. And this isn't far. 32, which means 1 out of every 3 youthful person was unemployed. Now, Jamaica is a youthful nation, right? Which means we have a upcoming and a good, what I call middle class or working class set of people, which can help our productivity or production problem that we've had for decades. And to know that you have 1 out of every 3 young person not finding any work, plus those who are disheartened.
Sorry, right? Go ahead.
That's all right, neighbor. Those who are disheartened, who don't even want to look. So this number would have been higher because we understand how they calculate the unemployment aspect of things, right? Now, when we look at this, neighbor, this isn't something Jamaica has ever seen. In fact, we saw in terms of production going up, our NIR, the National Reserves, have never been higher. Now we know it gone to 6.7 billion US, right? All of that gave us global pull. I quoted the percentage the other day. This is 168% higher than what the rest of the world demands, what the IMF and World Bank deems as acceptable amount. So we are well ahead of it, better than most other countries, and we're a small member state. That is not something you do by squandering chances, by taking on debt after debt. That is not something you do with high unemployment, because you had to get these down in order for that to move up. Now, we know the record when it comes down to crime, and that was something that took almost 8 years. We saw the numbers in terms of, you know, the drastic decrease in the last 2 to 3 years, including last year, right? But the process of it was being done long before that. It was trying to do community policing, changing how the very police go about their work. In the creation in terms of CTOC coming into play, the proper policing strategies and technologies that are being employed, right? Hats off to them. We saw where the cameras come in now. We were able to afford, for the first time, neighbor, one of the highest level technology being used by first world countries in their police force, which are these high-end cameras with up to standard software programs. So it's not just the cameras that came. An entire system and structure also comes with that. And yes, people will say 200 million enough money. But again, I'll say we can't. If we look at the amount of lives lost, I did a tally as Connecting that spoke on it. Between 1990 to 2006, 2007, right? To the period of 2011 to 2016, I accounted, based on the data, neighbor, approximately 25,000 Jamaican lives lost. And I said that because I took out the Jamaica Labour Party year in 2007, that period, to show that in that long-term running by the People's National Party, how they have gravely failed Jamaica.
How many people you said, sir, were unalived?
Approximately 25,000, neighbor. It was 23,000.
25,000.
Approximately, neighbor. Right? And anybody can go and fact check it. They can I bet on it. Right? Because I sat down and did it when Connecting was talking. And I did it in that way because I wanted to compare the numbers for the longest running term for Jamaica Labour Party, or period for Jamaica Labour Party, to the periods handled by the People's National Party, right? And that was astronomical. So for anybody who would want to say, you know, $200 million is a lot of money, a chicken feed compared to the value of the lives we lost. The catastrophe that happened in the mid-90s also weren't quantified in these numbers, neighbor. So we need to understand that. So not only were lives lost, right, in that way, but the catastrophe that happened with FinSac and so on in that period also added to at least another 1,000, neighbor. And if we were supposed to add to sectors dying, annihilated, because the manufacturing sector was in existence for a while, right? The 44,000 businesses that went under, neighbor, it is something where we are now has to be celebrated when you look at the context to where we're coming from, right? It is not, as in Jamaica terms, them say, and a boy take for do this, neighbor. And the people of Jamaica bought into the vision by Andrew Holness, right? They trusted him the first time because they got burnt again. Having given up, they tried with Jamaica Labour Party under Golding, you know, and we knew what happened in that period, and he left. Andrew Holness, you know, youthful exuberance, he called it a little too early and he lost. But that was a teaching moment for him. The people returned the People's National Party to power, and we got another backlashing again. And as such, they said, listen, let us go with something we've never seen before, a more youthful person, because the truth is, they were seeing the People's National Party were still governed by pre-independence babies. And it showed that they were not of the time that Jamaica was moving into. They couldn't lead us to quote unquote the promised land. They weren't equipped. They weren't capable. And they also showed that they weren't for the people. So they would have then returned Mr. Holness and then bought into what we're seeing now. And it has paid more than dividends for them. Right? We're now reducing lives. Right? We look at in terms of the currency, because this is an argument I know persons love to come up with. The Jamaican dollar and the economy has never been more stable since independence. In fact, the Jamaica dollar has experienced its lowest average annual depreciation, neighbor, in history. And that is 2.9% per year, which of course we know would have fostered the stable economy. And of course, the grade ratings would have gone up for us, right? That has never been done until now. When we look at the social and sectoral improvements, I quote this one neighbor in terms of the infrastructure as Andrew go build road to heaven, because I never see a man can build road so yet. And these things are needed when it comes on to your communication lines, right? You wanted to ensure that your people can get to work faster, they can get to work safer. You have, in terms of helping your business community connect from one end to the other end of the island a lot faster, because what that did was also aid the private sector to move around the island and be more productive. Because what people don't understand, the lack of communication lines that we had at the time burnt up a lot of hours. So you had goods moving across the country a lot slower, which means business time frame had to take longer, and as such you had to structure yourself around that, right? So for example, the Mount Russell area, a lot of trucks got stuck up there regular. So even if your trip
not to mention the traffic that caused.
That exactly. So while you may budget to say, okay, on a good day the journey is 3 hours to get to the other side, you have to know budget. So what if 2 trucks gridlock? What about traffic? All of that, you know, right? Companies, for example, like with Cinco was feeling it because they couldn't move around good. D&G at the time, if people remember them, like a lot of the large manufacturing was feeling. Even the sector that it burdened the most, neighbor, was agriculture. Because of course you have certain things that are perishable. All right. And we all know that not every market is as big as, Coronation Market, Linstead Market, and in Mandeville and so on. So people took some time to get to these areas for their very produce to be sold, and on the way losing some as well. So that hurt the productivity of our agricultural sector, the productivity of our people as well. And in that case, time is money. And that is money being burnt up by poor leadership of not having these communication lines. Now we see a lot of that. It takes from Mandela to like Runaway Beano is like what, an hour or less, 45 minutes thereabout. And that has done great deal for people, especially the business community, which is slowly coming back. We're getting the confidence of the diaspora now, neighbor, right? Especially with crimes going down, people want to return home. And we know Mandeville, them call it the senior citizen and retirement parish. So that is where you have a lot of wealth also being, and people were afraid to come back home to live. You had stories after stories where people came home as returning residents, neighbor, and get holed up and all of that. When was the last time we hear any of that being reported? Because we've also handled the likes of crime. Now, the social and sectoral improvements, neighbor, which is the minimum wage, they said it couldn't be done. Andrew Holness proved them wrong year after year. Same thing goes with the threshold, neighbor. I think it was, 625,000 at one point? And they said it couldn't go to 1.5. Then they said it couldn't go to 1.6. Now we heard, up to the last election, it couldn't go 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, much less 2 million. There was a part of the People's National Party campaign that said it couldn't be done, but at the same time, after saying that, neighbor,
they came promising 3.5.
Exactly, less than a week later, and couldn't tell us how they would foot the 3.5.
Yeah, let's listen to Mr. Holness for a minute. Yeah, Harry. Before we bring you back, listen to him.
Public sector work. Yeah, man, I'm going to give you the world, as previous politicians have done, and then turn around and stick you with a wage freeze. This country made a huge sacrifice 10 years ago to break from fiscal recklessness. And it hurts my heart to see the PNP try to reintroduce fiscal recklessness through its various promises, which do not make any sense. All it is going to do is make you feel good and jump up. And then when the reality strikes, the reality may not be because of any bad management, The reality may strike because of external factors. And when you spend off the money and you don't have what is called the buffers, the reserves that you put aside for the difficult times, then the people feel it. So think of it. How have we been able to increase the wage bill massively and still bring down the debt? Good government. Good government.
Yeah, you have it, Harry. Good government over the last 10 years, eh?
Neighbor, I think good is an understatement compared to what we had to handle within that period.
Yeah, fantastic. Moderator, I'd love if we could open the lines at this time for the listeners to come up and tell us for them what the last 10 years has meant as the party that a lot of them support is celebrating 10 years in government, having won the election September 25th, 2016. We will open the lines now, and we will come right back and take some of your calls as we head up to the 11 o'clock hour, where we will have to take a little time to celebrate with our brother Harry, who is celebrating a birthday today. Let's just
how does payroll?
Who do we have on the line? We're coming right to you, caller. Just give us a little minute here. So, we have a bit of good news. The gifting has been restored, so you can do what you have to do. Harry, if you check your balance, you should be good. You hear, man? Check your balance. Good evening to you, Protecting Jamaica. Hello. We have protecting 10 years of Labour Party consecutive governing. How do you position it tonight?
Good night again, people. Happy Earth Strong to you, Harry. All the love you get, you deserve it. Committed and dedicated to, sharing information with purpose and with value. Good night, Scratchy, Caroline, everybody, listeners. Congratulations to the Jamaica Labour Party and its leader, Dr. Andrew Michael Holness, for having reached the 10-year mark, the full 2 term on this day. Congratulations also for having accomplished what no other prime minister has accomplished, whether in 5, 10, 14, or 19 years. No other party, no other prime minister has accomplished what the Jamaica Labour Party has accomplished under Andrew Michael Holness. Very significant. But as you can see, neighbor, even though I think that the party is going to do something, just in recognition of this milestone, as you can see, they are not about the hype.
They are not about the hype.
Yeah, see no whole heap. If I did the PMP already, if it was a PMP, you'd have see one bag of things are going already, you'd have see a bungle of things. Because for them, we should understand by now that for the PMP, it's about the PMP. It has always been about Jamaica for the JLP. And we're experiencing that in real time. In real time, we're experiencing that. It has always been about Jamaica and the people of Jamaica for the JLP. And so we're experiencing, neighbor, a government that really cares about the people. It has always been this way, But the generation now that will make a difference on the political landscape in Jamaica was never exposed to the JLP. Literally, the generation alive now was never exposed to the JLP. They're just becoming aware of who the JLP is and what the JLP is about. And I think it is encouraging for the young people who are observing, the ones who have just barely reached 20 and are able to afford a car. The ones who have just barely passed them 20s are even just approaching 20. And because they have them head on them body, they're in the process of acquiring their first home. These are the success stories under Andrew Michael Holness for the last 10 years in a neighbor and listeners.
Yes.
People, young people, who, when you try to share with them that 20 or 30 years ago, and when you turn 40, 45, if you did even build one room already, you're just able to put on one next room. Funny. And only if you probably would have traveled, for farm work or whatever, you probably would be able to build a full house one time, maybe take 4 or 5 years, or maybe come back after working overseas and you get a pension and you retire. You could have probably buy one house in one community somewhere. This wasn't possible 10, 15 years ago. It wasn't.
Yes.
And it seemed to me somewhat, neighbor, listeners, that it has become a mainstay in the Jamaican society now. So much so that these very same people, young people, they just look at it as just another day, because Andrew Holness has made it another day where prosperity is concerned in Jamaica.
Let me ask you this. What does a fourth term mean historically for Jamaican politics?
It means the breaking of the back of the real breaking of the back of poverty in Jamaica. That's what it means. It means the cancelling out of who is referred to as the poor in Jamaica. It is as real as that, neighbor. We cannot see it any other way. It is as real as cancelling out deficiencies in the society at large, meaning deficiencies with water system and water sources, deficiencies with internet connectivity. As you just notice, just observe, the Prime Minister, the government just signed a deal with the company from the US that will be laying new cables, 5G cables, advanced internet cables on the seabed to Jamaica. You know when was the first time that was done and who it was done by, neighbor? You know how internet reached Jamaica, neighbor?
Mm-hmm.
Internet reached Jamaica when Edward Seaga laid the first seabed cable network to Jamaica. You see, it is the Jamaica Labour Party who have always done this. The Jamaica Labour Party. And that is the reason why people like ourselves are so hated and your platform is attacked. Mine, them shut down mine so much time. Sometime when me go on and them, just say, all right, they might shut me down today. I'm just willing to work with that. But they don't want these...
You've gotten shut down. Hold on. You've gotten shut down, sir?
Many times, man. Ask those who probably would have been following me for a little while longer than you. Whole heap of time them lick me off. I mean, I even have a second page. I had to create a second page, which I was very reluctant to do, but I had to, because they do not like the truth. Internet in Jamaica because of the
Infomedia.
Internet in Jamaica because of the JLP. All right, look at the prospects available now, neighbor, where it is assessed that about 7 billion barrels of oil can be found on the Jamaican beneath the sea floor. And yes, they are going to do further assessment and analysis, but just imagine that 40 odd years ago, or about 40 years ago, the JLP, led by Edward Seaga, decided that they were going to buy a privately owned and run refinery in Jamaica and make the government own it. Just imagine that vision. Just imagine, neighbor, the 10 years what we are celebrating now is not just remarkable.
Yeah.
It is life-changing. It is history-making. And when the history books are written on governance, when Commonwealth countries studies Westministerial governance and how economies can scale and advance and progress and rise up from the ashes in the Commonwealth, Jamaica will be foremost in that study.
Yeah, let me ask you a hypothetical. If he were to leave office tomorrow, what would you say would be the single defining line of his legacy?
The wide array of social programs.
You would go to the social side?
Yes, because neighbor, you really don't have any economy without the social side of your economy. Look at it. If the economy does not cater to the people in whichever way, at whatever level, then you really don't have an economy. Because if people don't have money to spend, the economy don't exist. if commerce doesn't exist from the merchant's standpoint, an economy doesn't exist. If there is no spending power, to put it, as clear as is possible, then there's no economy. And so the social endeavors, just look at it this way, neighbor. A global pandemic hit. Hotels laid off everyone. The rest of the private sector, including manufacturing, some of them laid off workers. The government picked up the tab. Remember, the government was paying people every 2 weeks? Was it 18,000
Yes.
right through the pandemic?
Uh-huh.
That is social welfare, but from a sensible economic standpoint, where people still need to have the power to keep their lives afloat. And only money can do that. No, only a sensible government would do that. You know what the PMP would have done, neighbor? They would have just catered to their supporters. Because they don't want them to quarrel and they wouldn't business with nobody else. So, other than that, the social pension, people who reach 75 years and older, who have never worked for any entity and are not eligible for any pension. And even though it is $12,000, it is something that they didn't have before. So what you're putting in these people's hands, if it costs the government $10 billion to pay out this $12,000 to these people bi-monthly, it is $12 billion that will pass through the economy multiplied. And this is what the opposition don't understand. That's why they keep saying the government have some tax where they hide off and I put on the people them. Because they do not understand economics, and they don't understand money, and they don't understand how an economy should work.
Yeah.
So
we saw the real test of Holness's leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the COVID-19 strengthened public confidence in his executive leadership?
Yes.
And that helped him?
Yes,
no?
It did.
Uh-huh.
I mean, every crisis that Holness faced up until this point has renewed about Holness as the man in charge. Because right now, neighbor, you can step out of your office where you're there and leave somebody to be in charge that nobody not touch nothing until you come back. I'm talking about leadership here. And I heard Harry earlier alluding to some of the moves that Holness has made as a leader. And some of the very important aspects of a leader includes being able to identify talent. Good talent. Because at the end of the day, you don't need to come beat up your chest if you are the leader of something or somewhere, neighbor. What you need to do is to delegate the responsibilities to people who can carry out the functions. And when the organization wins, you as a leader will be recognized. So leadership is not, me no come here so for scrape, me no come here so, no boy, none of them have no more money than me. That's not leadership. Leadership.
Let me ask you this, protecting. I don't have a lot of time. There is a debate, about transformational leaders in Jamaica. Has Holness transformed Jamaica, or has he stabilized it? What would you say?
He has transformed Jamaica, and the transformation continues. By the end of Holness's leadership, and I don't think Holness is ready to go anywhere anytime soon. You see, youth is a good thing, to have in a neighbor. He started at the right time. And so by the next election, Holness will be 58 by 2030. So he's still young. So the transformation has happened. And we observe the transformation of Jamaica every day, which has happened since 2016. And the transformation continues. When the dam out of St. Catherine finish, he would have transformed water resources and sources and the distribution thereof for a few parishes, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Catherine. And by then, maybe Portmore become the 15th parish of about 4. When the hospitals are done, he would have transformed healthcare. You know? And when you look at it in a neighbor, look at it this way. The transformation happening now are things that have existed that needed to be repaired or renovated, you know. The PMP just never do them. Just imagine in between renovating old stuff, transforming old things. Just imagine he continues to do new things, still transforming the landscape of Jamaica. One of the first highways that Holness built was the Macfield Highway, the one between Westmoreland and St. James and Anchovy somewhere up there. But very few people heard any mention of it. And that's what leadership does. You come to do the work, you know you have the responsibility to carry the work and you get it done. But there are some who, yes, they would want to hide these things. Just imagine what the Montego Bay, the transformation of traffic in Moby. I don't know how well you know Montego Bay, neighbor. But you
no, quite okay. Oh yes. Oh, absolutely, sir. And not to mention getting through St. Anne.
Okay. You can be stuck in traffic.
Hours.
From the airport heading downtown Montego Bay for 3, 4, 5 hours. Just imagine the transformation that will happen in another few months, because the road, I just blackness to go on the top of the road. Just black top to go on now. And for majority of the road. Now, just imagine how we will be when the new urban center is built in Boscobel, because Boundbrook probably about 70% complete. Boundbrook almost done in a Portland. Just imagine when the new urban center goes out by Boscobel, what that will do to St. Mary and right there in the border of St. Anto. Just imagine what will happen to that part of the island. So Holness time at the wicket will be counted. Yes, it will be counted for decades to come. Remember, I'm not done yet, you know. Remember, I'm not done.
Absolutely. But then, despite him being transformational, he has come under sustained scrutiny and criticism, and even attempts to destroy his credibility. How has he survived all of this protection?
Again, so leadership needs to show resilience. As a leader, number one, you have to be laser focused on the job ahead, the task. Number two, you have to be emotionally mature. You have to be physically strong. You have to be mentally firm as a true leader. Now, look at it. Look at the difference. Andrew Holness has been attacked for 10 years straight. He has been attacked. 10 solid years. But the moment somebody said about the opposition man in charge, he is a white man from England. He went on TV to bawl that them attacking him race. Isn't he a white man from England? The truth. That's not a leader. Uno say Holness knows big. Uno say him this. Uno say him that. Uno say, oh, him build house and I can't feel money, when it was proven the first prime minister in the history of leaders in the world had to release his financial statements to show that alone him take for building house. The first prime minister that ever happened to. Andrew Holness had to release. Well, I think he didn't have to. but he chose to because of the pressure that bear down on him. And he felt like the only way to get them shut up and to have this stop was to just put it out there. The man released him financial statement or him take money for build him house.
So his composure.
His composure is
became both a shield and a strategy.
He's a stable leader, neighbor. A matter of fact, he is one in a lifetime leader that any country in the world dreams for. We have that kind of leader in Jamaica. He is stable. He's steady. He's mature emotionally. He is secure and he is mature emotionally. Because
you sound like you personally admire Holness. I listen to the passion in which you are delivering tonight. You sound like you are proud of this man and you personally admire him. Am I correct?
I know him personally. He's a friend of mine.
Oh.
And I admire his growth. Because remember, Holness is a book that the pages are turned right in front of us.
Yes.
Remember, this is the same rigid person who was presented to us in 2011.
Yes.
Very rigid, but the resilience of
and not many gave him a chance.
No.
Not many gave him a chance. Did you give him a chance?
I did.
You did?
Because I know him.
You did in 2011
Yes.
give him a chance.
Yes.
And in
I was happy.
You say you know him.
I was happy when my former boss decided to hand over the reins of power to him.
Your former boss, that is Bruce?
Yes. I was very happy.
You work for Golden?
I always said that I have worked in the public sector.
Oh.
And I have worked in very influential places.
Yes.
I have knowledge of many things, some of which I can say.
But you supported Shaw. Did you?
Huh?
let's we don't have a lot of time, but this is so interesting that oh my gosh, I probably will have to make a little bit of adjustment to an appointment that I have later on. Let me see what can happen here. Is he back?
I'm here.
Yeah. When he ran, when Shaw challenged him, you supported Shaw?
No.
You did not?
I did not support.
So protect him.
Hold on, a neighbor. Let me respond to the person who is asking if I can get PM on here. Blueberry. No Blueberry. Whilst the Prime Minister is known to me personally, the Prime Minister does not know that this person whom he knows is protecting JA. You see, I believe in heroes who carry out their heroic functions but remain anonymous. That's me. The Prime Minister don't need to know that it is me who.
Yes, sir. Let's work with it. So you knew in 2011 when Holness lost to Portia that he would eventually make it.
Yes.
How you could have known?
We were disappointed. Listen, my neighbor. I know how Mr. Holness is. I know how he thinks. Even though sometimes he still surprises me. I know how he thinks. Mr. Holness is the most solid leader Jamaica is ever going to get. I mean, there's Matthew and there is Floyd.
Yeah, did you know that he would have won 2016?
Yes. I thought that he would have won by maybe 2 or 3 seats, but he won by 1, but I knew he would have won. Mr. Holness is very deliberate in the steps he takes. He's very thoughtful, and he spends time more than the average person to really think through things. One thing you will never get Mr. Holness though is anything that is going to jeopardize the future of Jamaica. You will never get him do that. And so I applaud him. I
Yeah.
respect him 100,000,000% for having,
What are you saying to me?
for having taken the tough decisions that were not the popular decisions. Because remember, he's a politician also, you know. But he is a real person who understands what it means to do the things that are purposeful, that adds value, and that will change your life. Not like the PMP who fall up one paper bag and give $4,000 every 2 weeks. That can't change your life. Mr. Holness don't believe in that kind of system. And I trust him with Jamaica. I trust him with the future of my child. I trust Andrew Holness 1,000,000,000% neighbor. And that is the reason why I decide to do this. I don't even have a personal social media account in a neighbor. I don't do that thing. I don't believe in that. But I'm here fighting for the future of Jamaica because I know that we have a solid leader.
Okay, but no leader exists in isolation. Beside him stands who are the persons that you think are the pillars behind Holness's success, apart from his wife?
His wife.
His wife?
Yes, but one thing with him, you know, early out, yes, we know that there were going to be teething pain. And there are so many things I appreciate about the Prime Minister that if I were to just mention them, you'd have gone over time, neighbor. Mr. Holness believes in the collective, but he doesn't believe in if he is going to entrust you with certain responsibilities. He doesn't believe in you being reckless because he knows that one reckless link on the chain is going to compromise the strength of the chain, if I might use that analogy. And so he will trust you even when he knows that you don't or did not support him 100%. Because he knows that whatever skills you have, you will cause a great deal of difference to whatever it is that he sets out to do. So Mr. Holness will entrust his team, but I am sure he trusts his wife. Him trust her. He does. He truly does. Genuinely, he does. And me not gonna say too much more about that.
Yeah, you make it state. Make it state. I'm out of time, you know, protecting.
Yes, man.
We're gonna catch you tomorrow.
Yes,
Take care of yourself.
Tomorrow we can talk again. Good night, people. Good night, listeners. Ari, big up yourself. Scratchy, good night. Caroline.
All right, protecting. Night.
All right, there you go. Yeah. If you want to come and say hi to Harry, please. The lines are open, and we want you to do that. Love to hear your voice. Some of the fresh voices on the program. What a fantastic night. Well, Harry, from our moderator. Oh,
Caroline.
That's to
the song.
The song you want me to play from this one?
Yes.
That's the song for Harry.
Yes, neighbor.
My goodness. He's a bossy boy.
You die.
It's only Caroline, this son.
Oh, it's a wrong one, neighbor. Explain. Neighbor, that's not the song. No, that's not it.
Well, what is it? That's what.
Where did you get that from?
Where did you get it from? That's the one you sent to me. That's the one.
Program
Caroline, search for a song to play for Harry. What song you want to play for your brethren, Harry? Scratchy. What song you want to play for your brethren, Scratchy? Harry.
I mean, Harry birthday, can play the agent Sasko neighbor. Birthday, you know, if I have one buckle I have to buy from Earth Strong, you know.
That's Earth Strong.
Agent Sasko of Earth Strong, yeah.
All right, let's run that now. All right.
Cake and them something there. Party and candle blow and all them. Earth Strong drinking. The backlar, is it? Create something our virgin them drink and all about. Can we give thanks to life? Give thanks to their earth and give thanks to Mama for safe birth. Bring them there. The last six songs. And follow me now. Well, if I even one buckle of the buy for me, Earth Strong, Earth Strong, Earth Strong.
All right, Tracy.
Today are your birthday, celebrate. Yo, drop a buckle, drop a crate. Why? If I even one buckle of the buy for me, Earth Strong, Earth Strong, Earth Strong, Earth Strong. Yeah, why if I today are your birthday, celebrate. Bust a buckle, bust a crate. Why? Hear me now, man a big man, so we no do the cake thing. Real friend, we say sorry for no the fake thing. Hey, me and me brethren them celebrating me birthday in a big club back one big day.
All right. Here is Caroline's song, sir.
Some things are just never said.
Alan, hi.
Hi, neighbor. Good night.
Top of the night to you. It's
Hello?
Harry's birthday. Top of the night is Harry's birthday. You're on the Politics Plus podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. First time in the box. Always on the watching the program, but this is my first time in the box.
You're in the box
Happy
for the
birthday,
first time.
Harry.
Well, welcome.
Yes. Thanks.
Yeah.
This is the best program, neighbor. Yeah. Best program, neighbor. Best program.
This is the best program, huh?
Neighbor blush, Harry blush.
Yes.
This is it. Oh, wow.
Yes, neighbor. When me there work, neighbor, me have to tune into the program. Morning, whatever time you come on, me have to dip on the program. Me learn a lot from this program, neighbor. Yes.
Wow. Well, we're celebrating Harry tonight, yeah? Deserves all the celebration.
Yes.
Where in the world are you there? Where in the world are you?
Right now I'm in the USA, Montana, but I'm original from Western Westmoreland.
Montana, you're from Western Westmoreland. Are you coming home anytime soon?
Yes. Yeah, November.
Oh, that's not soon, man. You come home every November?
About November I'll be there, man. That's like
fantastic.
6 more.
Fantastic. Great to have
Andrew
you.
doing a wonderful job, neighbor. Yeah, man.
I am.
Andrew doing a wonderful job.
Oh, Andrew, that's great.
Yeah, man.
You're celebrating 10 years today,
My
man.
prime
10
minister
years.
that.
Oh, you're a prime
Yes,
minister?
yes, neighbor. Yes.
Oh, lovely. I thought it was Portia.
No, man.
No? Yeah.
Neighbor, country run good. Country run good. I'm a fight Andrew, but yeah, man, the country run good, neighbor. Me and my early 40s, neighbor, and trust me, when I graduate, I couldn't get a job. I used to work like Negril. Neighbor, if you drop off an application, it's like a links. Right now, me get the company H2B program from 2018.
Yes.
Yeah, man. And trust me, most of the people in Jamaica right now can buy a house, neighbor buy them vehicle. Things are going in my country, me not lie. Yeah, man.
That is true, ma'am.
Yeah, man, things are going.
That is true.
Everybody can put a little room on them parents' house. Me have 4 sisters, me have 1 brother. Everybody can put on a little room, buy a little car. Yeah. We not feel depend on we don't live by handout neighbor. Andrew at work. We just be coming in back. So this morning, you see me the text say I'm shy this morning when you come on.
Are you say you're shy this morning, no?
Yes.
Oh, you're not shy, nothing. I like
Yeah,
that.
me text this morning, yeah.
You're not shy
Me
at
always
all.
support the program, you know. I always support the program. Always. Yeah.
Yes, but you must always
Never come in the box.
Caroline. Text Caroline.
Yeah, man,
and,
we text Caroline all the while and said whatever me have, yeah.
Lovely.
Best program neighbor. Keep it up.
Well.
Yeah, man. Big up to
Yeah.
Scratchy.
Thank you so much.
Protecting Harry. Yeah, man, Caroline. Big up yourself. Me always nice. At least here. Big
All
program
right.
this. To me right now, top program. So continue
This a
the way
program
you're doing.
what? Olama.
Top program.
What is it?
Yeah, man.
A top program.
I top program this right now, neighbor. Trust me.
What you say? I may never know that,
Yeah,
man.
man.
I never know that.
Well, I know, no. Yeah, man,
How
you're
you tell
going
us
to
so?
agree. A lot of things we learn in the neighbor. For you come on with this program, like 1 year, you know, today, when? March, you say
No,
1
yes,
year?
yes. We are going to be celebrating our anniversary starting next week, ma'am. But who should you say is top program,
Yes.
ma'am?
Neighbor, me depends a program all the while. Me depend about probably 9 months now.
What will you say to me?
Best program. I mean, they work. Me have to just neighbor. Me have to put in my headset and take time and grow a little corner. I mean, no come on for this a program. Yeah.
I never know. Never
Not
know that
miss
at all,
me,
man.
neighbor. Not miss me. Yeah, man.
You think we're not going with nothing, ma'am?
Neighbor, you go on with things, whole heap of things. Trust me,
Every
I
day, my
continue.
every
Big
day,
up
my
protecting.
moderator.
Yeah, man.
Every day, my moderator is telling me, say, I have to step up the game. It's true? You know, ma'am?
No, man, you go on with things, man.
You tell me, say, me every day, say, I have to step up the game, man.
Eh?
No, man. My moderator tells me every day I have to step
No,
up my
man, you
game.
go on good. Trust me, you go on good.
Tell her,
Okay.
tell her, say it's not true. Tell her it's not.
Yeah, go on. Yeah?
Tell her, say
Not
it's
true,
not.
Caroline. Not true. Neighbor, go on with yourself. Not true, Caroline. Best program. I learn a lot. Trust me. Learn a lot. Neighbor, me just say me a die-hearted labor right? Because a 4 times now me vote.
Okay.
4 times for Andrew.
Yes.
Yeah, man. And nobody can. Nobody can buy me out. We not buy out. Straight shower.
All right.
Straight shower. Yeah, man.
Nice to
All
hear
right.
from
Big
you.
up yourself. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
A little girl asked me my name. She said, "Sir, I've seen you before. Tell me, who are you?" I said, "I am a legend that you never heard."
Scott Harry's a legend. Oh.
Said, "I am a lion."
By the way, I've never heard this song before, you know? Never heard it before.
I am a
neighbor.
I've never heard this song before, no?
But if one person remembers my name,
One Chronic's neighbor, one Chronic's.
I'm amazed that Caroline is so versatile when it comes on to music. Where she learn them from?
Harry, Harry, do you like the song?
I do, Caroline, I do. I used to be blasting this in the mornings, you know, when I'm going to work.
Legend.
Yeah, neighbor.
Never heard it before. Never heard it before.
You know something, neighbor?
Yes.
And I just realized it. You know, 10 years ago was my first time working in an election.
You worked in an election?
Officially, on my birthday, neighbor. My mother wasn't able to work the day, and I had to be the supervisor for our entire polling division.
Wow. 10 years ago, you are celebrating your first job as an election day worker today.
Yes, neighbor. And on my birthday too.
And did you vote? Did you vote?
I did. I've voted in every single election that I was capable of voting in.
Well, you know, Harry, I must tell you. By the way, listeners, if you want to send Harry a gift to our Cash App or Zelle account, please take the time and go there and do that now. We will make sure that gets to him. You can feel free to do that. Harry, I'm sure the listeners did give you sufficiently. Well, nothing is sufficient to you. I just want to say to you, Harry, that I've been very, very impressed as a young Jamaican man. Your level of delivery, your skill, and your attention to details and research, and that your contribution to this program is legendary. You have made the program one of the menu items for so many people in Jamaica and across the world, and I want to thank you, sir, and wish for you all the best in your life and your family and all that you do. Yep. Great, man.
Thank you so much, Neil. But the truth behind it is you've provided the platform and the environment that facilitates the necessities that the people of Jamaica has been yearning to hear, neighbor.
Yes.
And you provide that medium that brings them to it and foster our own development, our own way of sharing things,
Absolutely.
Scratchy and so on. And we all have grown on the program significantly. Plus, I can say to the listeners, you guys have pushed me personally, right, to continue to, as I said, slot in even time for the programming in my personal life. Of course, I had to get permission from the leader. She's out there on the phone, and it was a decision we made together for the time slot in my busy schedule. And even during the days, neighbor, I'll be multitasking, doing my usual work and doing research as well, bringing the facts, because if it's one thing I can tell you, the listeners of this program actually demands a lot. Like the standard is high, and they don't know neighbor. They don't realize, but we stand on business regardless, and we know what we want our people to hear and how to shape our thinking going forward.
Absolutely, and it's worth saying that because we have come under such criticism. I mean, we spoke yesterday too, and for example, for the last 14 or so days, our gifting was shut down. We just got it opened back tonight after several appeals, more than 15. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
And just to produce tonight's program took me a good 3 hours,
And I see, and that's the thing, neighbor, that the work that is put in, people will never see it, but we know what we're doing, and we know where we want to see Jamaica, and this is our way of showing our national pride and commitment to a nation, not just to the platform or so on, but to changing the minds and lives of people out there.
We never come here any 7 o'clock with just nothing in our heads, Harry. We always have something to talk about, and depending on where the show goes. So it's a teamwork. And you have been a very important part of this team. We look forward to if you are not here, the program is not the same.
On that note, neighbor, you owe me.
Yeah, but I said, Harry said to me the other night, and earlier tonight, that he was just passing through one night and he saw the program.
No,
I thought it was you who recruited him.
No, neighbor. I remembered when I invited Harry to this program, and he spoke for the first time, and I'm sure the listeners will remember. And Harry, please remember, I brought you here, and I asked Harry if he would if he would stay, and you said to me, "Oh, you're bringing in man into the house." You remember that?
The night with just speaking in terms of the night with Navi, neighbor, where you had to get the votes as well.
Oh. Yeah, I remember that it was Caroline's behind the scene working to get you here. Yeah.
Well, you neighbor.
Excuse me?
Sir.
But Caroline, that is why you got the position of Minister of Moderation and Mediation.
Scratchy caller, the HR manager. Yeah. Okay.
But
Fantastic.
Caroline, my best friend, a few weeks ago, and I said I would have I've told you, but I want to say it publicly. So he nudged me and said, listen, any man in Jamaica finds a woman like Caroline. And when I heard that, I wonder where he was going. And he said, any man who finds somebody as committed, a woman that is committed as Caroline is to Politics Plus, they should never let that woman go at all. So I told him that I would share it with you.
I'm not hearing that so good. Hold on, hold on. Oh, the richest girl. Go right ahead, my brother Harry. Tell us about that, eh?
Yeah, so he was saying, neighbor, any man finds a woman as committed to them as Caroline is to the program, they're bound to never ever fail. And I said I was going to tell Caroline before, and it always slipped me. So Caroline, you have an admirer out there, and you exude extreme characteristics that are so pleasant and amazing.
A man in Jamaica, hold on. A man in Jamaica told you that?
My best friend neighbor.
Is admiring Caroline?
He love how committed she is to the program, neighbor, no matter what. It's almost like with
no man,
Caroline.
you said more. No, you said more than that. You said he's a secret admirer. Huh?
No, he admires her neighbor. He's a married man, but he admires the traits.
I didn't ask you if he was married. I'm just saying. I'm gonna eat your heart out today. Oh, brother, sorry about that. Oh, fit.
You did.
Can't drink a glass of water.
But you let one slip away.
Well, why did you decide to say that publicly on the program, Harry? Why?
Anyway, it's been something I wanted to say to her for a while.
Yeah, why would you say that on the program? Why would you say that on the program? On the public platform?
Maybe can inspire the others.
What's wrong with that, neighbor? What is wrong with that? Harry, I will call you tomorrow.
Yes, my name. I can know that all.
Why is this service of a call? Why is this service of a call? Why is it service of a call?
Harry, I will call you tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm the wretched girl. I'm the wretched girl. Yeah.
I tell you. Anyway,
neighbor, Harry, on a serious note, please tell your friend thanks very much.
I will, Caroline. Just in case he's not listening tonight.
Well, Harry, I do believe that.
No, I don't think that deserves. I don't think a response is necessary at all. I wouldn't.
Neighbor, could you stay out of people's business? Yes, please. But I must say that I think we all are very committed to the program, and yeah, that's it. I don't think I do anything special. So if I do, I think we all do.
Yes, you shall be modest now, neighbor. You see it?
But then she's gonna call you. Would you promise me something, my brother?
I'm listening, neighbor. I don't know if I'll promise, but go ahead.
When she calls you, have me on record her. Record the call.
Neighbor, remember such a HR, So what's
the best neighbor, better than all the rest. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone want to test?
Metneko.
Yeah, simple best neighbor. Whether
yeah. And we have other things in the hat that we can pull out.
Yes, neighbor. No, neighbor. We've been on here about go come next month 1 year now, neighbor, and the impact is not normal. Neighbor, I want to that we're one of the platform, neighbor, with probably the most diaspora support, neighbor. We have a wide range of our supporters, neighbor, from the diaspora.
I think so, sir. Maybe more than 70%.
Yes, and I think that is where, if you look across the length and breadth of this space, neighbor, a lot of the other lives, neighbor, you basically see them fade away, them water down.
As a matter of fact, they talk about controversy. As soon give them something to talk about.
Yeah, neighbor, simple best.
Whether we're on here or not on here, they're talking about us as soon become the headlines.
I know,
headlines?
neighbor, we're not afraid to talk about my neighbor.
No, sir. I care zero.
I care zero to neighbor.
Zero.
I never.
Me here. Barbara glued and say, you don't have nobody yard.
Yeah, you know, I'm never afraid, neighbor, to come and speak my mind,
No.
neighbor. You know, when it comes to
Yeah.
speaking, neighbor, I am never afraid. Nobody can shut me, you know, so. And I'm not
Absolutely.
afraid, neighbor, to say that this platform is definitely best. And to Harry, I want to say big up again, my bro. Happy birthday, Harry. You come on the platform and you really come make your mark. You know, really come contribute a lot to the platform, to the space. And we
Yes.
appreciate and respect you, my bro, for that. No flow of respect. Even in a turmoil times, Harry. You know, we see others leave and others run. You know, despite they still stand with us, you know, through the thick and the thin. So your loyalty proven, Harry, man, and enough respect and love, bro. Standing and being with us. Enough love every time.
Yeah, man,
respect for that.
I remember time the Spitfire thing, Scratchy. We have to still a drink up some, you know.
Yeah, man, don't worry yourself, bro. But we're gonna definitely do that one.
You should stop and count to 10 before we make each other hurt.
And you know, Scratchy, we are at 11 o'clock. Let me tell you something. And sometimes my moderator don't want me to do this. Okay, so we're cracking 10,000 listeners tonight. 10,000 viewers. 10,000, Scratchy. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, but you have to talk in there, but never let anyone dim your light, you know. You see everybody is on here, neighbor. The mere fact, neighbor, on this social media, especially TikTok, is all about the views. So if you can highlight the amount of viewers, nothing is wrong with that, because that is where that's one of the parameters we use to judge whether your program are advanced or not.
Yeah,
you know?
we got over 5 million likes.
Over 5 million likes and over 10,000 viewers tonight, neighbor. That's awesome. So you have a total success, neighbor. Don't dim me like because of anybody else, or don't dim me like because whatever you might say, I'm gonna let other persons want to feel away. Let them feel away, neighbor, because all them can do is talk, neighbor. We're gonna keep them talking, you know.
Yes, and this is not to show off on anyone. So this is
definitely, neighbor. We don't show off. It's not a part of our thing, neighbor. We don't show off, neighbor. We do this with the love in the neighbor. We do this naturally, you know. We do this authentically, you know. And we come here every night and come and say what I say, and then we move on from this, and then come tomorrow again. We do what we do. When the years I try to please anybody, or I try to look and love her and respect for them.
Not at all. I am over that, sir. And you know, the other day I was a little tentative and kind of don't want to steer nothing. I said to myself, but me not nobody yet, sir.
That is what I know. That's always my thing, neighbor. That's why I'm never afraid to speak my mind, neighbor, because I have to tell myself that as long as anybody can't inflict any harm on me or inflict any danger on me, I don't see why I can't speak my mind, you know.
And we are in the market, you know, Scratchy. And quite frankly, the market that we are in, it is the quality of what you produce that will attract people to you. You better sell it. No difference from the man we downtown as sell.
The regular year JR communication groups, them have 61% of the listening.
At the market share. And
the market share. People talk them success, neighbor. This is what we use as a benchmark to know whether your program is advancing or not. So you have a total success.
Because I'm sure that if we were up here now and we only had 5 people listening to us, we wouldn't feel good about it.
We wouldn't feel good about it, neighbor. So once you feel good, have a total success, man. I don't care what nobody want to think. That's a for them problem. Them have to just get for them game up. So whether you're a PNP live or you're a JLP live, neighbor, I can safely say that, without water in my mouth, that Politics Plus, neighbor, is the live with the biggest impact right now on TikTok. Anybody who's afraid to say that, neighbor, is just biased. You know, whether it's biased, whether you want to come out and publicly declare yourself being a Jamaica Labour Party supporter or not, the work that you have done, neighbor, on this platform and giving persons who support the Labour Party to come and share what they want to say and big up the Labour Party, neighbor. It's wonderful, neighbor. Wonderful. You have done a lot and you have done more than a lot of them, whether they want to believe it or not. That is why we continue to get the rebuttal and the attacks that we continue to get. To see the program continue being restricted for whatever reason. But we lost a page with over 35,000 viewers, with over 35,000 followers. You know, and that page, neighbor, it wasn't a page that was just lost because of mishaps on our part, neighbor. It was lost, neighbor, because of persons, neighbor, and their bad mind. And I wanted to see the program fall. We recently create back a new page and look back on our numbers again. Look in the eye right now at this was a night. Go on any other live right now and see if you see anybody with these type of numbers right now. So I say, neighbor, again, it's not up to not just me, it's not just you, it's not just Caroline, it's not just Harry neither. Our loyal viewers, neighbor, we have always thank them. So no matter where we go, they find us. and continue to bless them up, neighbor, and respect them and tell them, say, yo,
absolutely.
we appreciate
it's
you.
It's a brand. We have established a brand.
Yeah, not just a
Barry
brand.
G,
and not just a
Barry
brand.
G,
we have created a family, you know, which is much more important than the brand. We have created a family.
And we want them to understand that we are maximum respect to them.
Maximum respect to them, neighbor.
Maximum respect to the listeners.
Some of these persons, neighbor, to take the time out and, you know, stay up and sit them and listen to a platform like this, neighbor. I must show that we are doing something good, and I must show that we are coming with some form of substance over hype. And I just want to say respect to all of these persons. We're not even going to start calling them, because if we start calling them right now, a problem, because other people might feel offended to see them get left out. So everybody just big up themselves, you know. Everybody just big up themselves and just thanks and everybody for the support. And continue.
Yeah, and our style is unique, you know, Scratchy. We design our own style, and so we flex it. We can't be duplicated.
No, neighbor, we'll never be duplicated, neighbor, because our level is so different. You know, we have a mixture. You know, we have one of the most modest moderator on the planet on TikTok, neighbor. There's someone like a Caroline, you know, who's as modest and polished and posh as Caroline.
Minister Caroline, Scratchy. Minister
Caroline, you know. We have one of the best hosts. We have someone like you, neighbor, as a host, you know. Or someone who has a vast knowledge of the whole governance system, and not just governance system, the general knowledge itself, and the whole advancement, neighbor, the development of Jamaica, how things should operate. And you know how to formulate yourself and carry yourself. You look right now, you're in a necktie, you know.
Well, you know,
yeah, well,
something.
Despite it being social media, neighbor, where a lot of persons see it as an informal type of thing, neighbor, you still present yourself in a formal way.
Yeah,
to kind of show some formal. Yeah. When you look for a man
it's a brand, you know, I don't have to wear it.
Yeah, when you look at a man like Harry, neighbor, you know, Harry come on, you know, a corporate man again who come and share him views, neighbor, in a corporate way, you know. And then you know, scratching away. We just come take it as it is, you know.
You come tear it down.
Yeah, just come. And probably the most hated thing, neighbor. I want this on me the most hated. You know. They don't like me.
You're the attack dog.
Yeah, they don't like me, neighbor. But you know, we not worry about them and them like, you know. So them can't steal the greatest thing they can't harm me. So once they can't harm me,
you're the attack dog.
Once they can't harm me, you can't do me nothing. So we're there, neighbor, man. It's a wonderful round.
You're not a mongrel.
Yeah, man, a well-rounded team, neighbor, man. Well-rounded team.
You're not a mongrel, Scratchy.
No, neighbor, no dog, neighbor. We don't want to be a dog, you know. Because the dog, they like to lick it before them stick it, you know. So we're not going to dog.
When you say the dog lick it before they what?
Yeah, dog tend to lick it before them stick it, so I don't try to brand myself as a dog, you know?
Stand justice is our everlasting song. Unity and progress will make our nation strong. Stand up for your rights when you hear the bell. Stand up for justice. Hear the freedom bell. Remember us the mandate, we serve you well. Stand up, Jamaicans, when you hear the bell.
If you want to celebrate Harry, send him a gift. Well,